agenda. You see what I'm saying? You have let a person, that's when College said, we don't even know what freedom is because our freedom is coming from somebody else's concept of freedom. You know what I'm saying? We talking about the white man say, thank you, Lord, and pass the ammunition. You see, they think different than you. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is when you talk about the concept of freedom, you see, you're looking for somebody else's agenda. And your agenda is to be those gods and goddesses that you've been reading on. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to give you an example in a few minutes when I go to the PowerPoint. You see what I'm saying? But I want to get this Mike Vick thing and I'm going to get this out of the way. They had been studying Mike Vick for about 3, 4, 5 years. Some people say that they had been knowing about the dog thing since he was in college because it was a part of his family. You know what I'm saying? First of all, Mike, you got $20 million. Don't you think you could go to your family members and say, look, before you turn evidence with the police, go ahead and take that little 3-year stretch, 2-year stretch, and I'll break you off $10 million. You got $20 million. You was the one in wrong. You mean to tell me that? You mean to tell me that? You mean to tell me that you can't pay me $10 million and I go to jail for 2 years? You going to jail for free anyway? At least you can go with, I'll be in there whistling. I got $10 million when I get out. I'll handle your behind when I get out, when I pay that hitman to come back up in here. Because you done violated. I'm just trying to say, you mean to tell me that you got all that kind of money in the world and you can't make no deal with your family and tell them not to go to the police on you? Now, understand the science on what happened. They had been studying him. They could have arrested him last year. Why they didn't arrest him last year? Why they didn't indict him next year? They indicted him. His whole thing, the reason why they indicted him was there was a major event that was going to happen on the earth plane and they wanted to cover it up. Now let me go into the major event so you can understand the Masonic side of what's going down. First of all, this is the one thing about the Masonic white Masons. I ain't talking about, in this sacred hall, because I'm going to tell you, let me tell you something, how spirited it is. This is the master chair right here, so they got another one right over there. But oh shoot, you got to give him one of the good chairs. That's fit for a king right there. Yeah, you got to get one of the good chairs. We should have painted the gold on the side a little bit to get it all messed up. But you just have to accept our humble origins right now on what's going on. So now let me explain this to you. The major event that went down. First of all, the white Masons, this creed, and I learned this from Dr. Ben and them when we was in the mystery system, because I was a part of the Masonic mystery system. I think it's defunct now. I was a part of his little mystery system. And the first thing they taught us was that they got this ceremony where they take an old black man and bring him into the Masonic lodge when the white boys is getting ready to go over. And he's blindfolded. And when they get ready to go over, and I think they go over, they blindfolded. When they pull their blindfold off, they see this black man sitting beside them. And they say, this is your father. Just you can take the stuff out of that one. This is your father. Always hold him down. That's what I learned from the Dr. Ben, which was he had a lot of real powerful brothers up in there that knew certain things based on their experiences. And that was one of the things they had found out in Masonic society. That's why we can discuss this in this lodge. And so when they get this blindfold, when they take these white initiates over, they have this black man sitting out to get him off the street or something. And they say, this is your father, always hold him down. So there's a way that you look at stuff, that you see stuff on the regular people side of what you think all the stuff that's happening in the news. And then there's a Masonic side. Now let me give you the Masonic side of what went down with Mike Vick as a decoy. The Masonic side was there was a major event that was getting ready to happen based on them studying our DNA. And the major event was Barry Bonds. Now let me go into the science on the horrors Barry Bonds Masonic thing that they had to fight against. Now try to understand this. Barry Bonds took steroids, if he did take steroids, steroids. The incident he was supposed to take took to clear, the stuff that they couldn't detect, was 1998, 1999.
That's right.
They didn't develop the technology to detect it until late 2001 or 2002.
All right.
He didn't. So he hadn't taken the clear once they found out it was only stuff. He hadn't taken this so-called steroid to 1999. Now I want you to listen. Now you got to think on what I'm getting ready to tell you, and you got to analyze. Because we're not good people that analyze things. I'm not talking down to you, but I'm talking to the people that's going to be getting this off the camera. Now think about what they're saying. Here's a man that's hitting home runs, and he's getting older, and he's getting better as he gets older, but he hadn't taken the steroids since 1999. See, the Masonic people is monitoring this, and they're going,
come on now.
The people out there don't know what's going on. Now listen to what I'm saying. He didn't take the steroids since 1999, okay? This is 2007. And he's 8 years older than what he was when he took the steroids. And yet, he gets stronger each year, and he knocks the balls out of the park with ease, because whenever he tries to knock it out with force, he stops hitting. Remember the last home run? They said, how did you do it when he passed Hank Aaron? He said, I remember what my father taught me. I had to relax into it. And then the balls would go out the park. What had happened was that whatever the steroids did, it tapped into the latent DNA in that part of the melanin that released the God particle gene that is dormant in all of us.
All right.
I want you to hear this, what I'm trying to tell you. What happened with Barry Bonds when he took the steroids? Because what steroids do when you get off of them, your body starts to deteriorate. That's why they call them dangerous. Well, with him, he hadn't taken them since 99, but what happened was, whatever the little steroid incident did, it untapped the latent melanin powers that is inherent in all black people. So the Masonic people say, we must play this down. We cannot have that kind of dialogue, and people figure out that if a man hadn't taken steroids in 8 years, and this is his ability, which is one of the greatest athletes in the world, this is what black people are slated to evolve into. Are you getting where I'm coming from here? So therefore, we got the Mike Vick thing, that we could do it last year, we could have did it next year. We need to put the Mike Vick incident right in the middle of this. And you start talking about that, and the Barry Bonds incident go right under the wire.
Right.
They didn't even celebrate him. And they gave the white boy, back in 1988, who was on steroids, a damn parade. Mark McGuire, and never questioned him. And everything, when he told them no, they took it as, okay then, just like they did with Montana. Montana, you don't want to always apologize. So, the point I'm trying to make here is, what Barry Bonds did is he tapped into the latent melanin power. It's the same thing, we got Brother Shabazz in the house. Used to have the stuff. I'm going to give him a black hand. He used to have all the stuff in Brooklyn. You see, in West Hell. I've seen hell, and it's called Brooklyn. Now, so bad that some people don't even come from Harlem to go to Brooklyn. I never saw Miss Jeffries over in Brooklyn when I was having all them meetings. She was an absentee because I was in Brooklyn. You see what I'm saying? But even my man Shabazz had these things. This brother here got threw out a building on his head, 5 stories, and landed on some bricks on his head, and was standing up outside the same night on the corner. That's Superman. He had some niggas get in an elevator with some hammers and start hitting him in the top of the head. About 4 niggas or 3 niggas in the elevator, and he said he could hit a nostril in his head and nothing happened. Same Barry Bonds thing. He said he got hit by a car. knocked 20 feet up in the air and then came down and landed on his knees. And then got up and started running. But I think he was drunk every time those incidents happened. That's called a drunken master. I think he was drunk when them things was happening. But I'm trying to show you that it's in us. Now remember when I was saying what Farrakhan said? If we was to go to war with them, we would win. And they have to come against us and conspire against us secretively. Because they know with you all, if they declare war on you all, that Barry Bonds or that's your bad stuff will come out. Let me show you some other incident. Anybody know the brother wrote Ancient Future? What's the man's name on it? Wayne Chandler. Summer before last, Wayne Chandler got hit by a doggone SUV head on. It bent the SUV all the way back up into the console. It bent and he bounced 20 feet up in the air and landed like the Matrix. And the only thing he had to do was to get that part where that impact hit massaged out. Now I know what I'm talking about. We are super people. We just don't know it. Look, I went to the bathroom one day. I was sleepwalking. So I went up, but I must have been sleepwalking enough that I had to pee real bad. So I got up and went to the doggone bathroom and landed and cracked my neck, broke my neck on the side of the toilet in the bathroom. It hit the tub and said, crack!
Oh, damn.
I got up and peed and went back to bed. And woke up the next day and nothing was wrong. Broke my neck. In 2002, I was out there hedge clipping. Because what it is, I didn't have no hedge clippers. This is people, we homeowners. So we got to do our yards and stuff, because that's a violation if your yard ain't right. You know, the neighbors start talking. They call the city on me. And it wasn't in my yard. So I'm out there hedge clipping in 2002, because my brother loaned me the hedge clippers, and I didn't use them for a week. And he said, hey man, I need them hedge clippers. I'm coming by in about 2 hours to get them. I said, damn, I had to run outside and start clipping the hedges because he'd come back to get the hedge clippers. And it started raining and the lightning struck my ass. And I was still hedge clipping. And I said, wait a minute. Did I just experience what I thought I experienced? So I went back in there and called the spirit world. I said, wait, I want to ask you something. Did I just get struck by lightning? She said, you most certainly did. You see? So, the Barry Bonds incident was, they couldn't let you know the unthinkable. They didn't have all these movies, X-Men, Heroes, all these movies about these suits. The Fantastic for all these white people that's supposed to evolve into these hero things, and you saw it in Barry Bonds. You see what I'm saying? But we got this stuff haphazardly. I get cut one day, and the stuff heals up. You know? So the point I'm trying to make here is, we have already made the jump into gods, but we still thinking we humans. So we're not living the experience. You thinking about putting on the news and thinking about Gina. The hell with Gina. Let the dead folks do that. But the conscious people, you done jump to the God level. Sister, there's a sister. I'll be 46 in November 28th. She's gonna be 76 in November 28th. She called me up. She said, Bobby, my gray hair is growing black hair in the roots. See what I'm saying? That kind of thing. You see. So we talk about this God-like energy. So I don't know what they do so with the Barry Bonds thing, the first thing they did is say, look, let's step to Marion Jones and somehow scare this fool up to scare this fool up to try to plead guilty. And this fool pled guilty on some stuff that she did 8 years ago, and the drugs that she took, or the steroids she took 8 years ago, wasn't even legal until 2 years after she took them. So technically they didn't have the legal right to even do anything, and they didn't have no physical evidence because it wasn't in her body. So I don't know what they did with this fool, but as black people, we get scared.
They took away her medals.
Yeah, I know they took away. Yeah, we know that, but they get scared. And the only thing you got to do is just not plead guilty. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. Lie to the end. I still don't know what Mike Vick talking about. You lie to black women. You can't lie to the white man. You know, half our get up is to tell a lie. She'll believe the lie and think the truth is ridiculous. Y'all know the science on what I'm talking about, brothers. So you can't lie to the white man. You don't let the white man buffalo you down that you can't lie to him. You lie to the sister daily. You know what I'm saying? It's a rites of passage. But you can't lie to the white man now because he done scared you. And you're going to prison anyway. Okay. All right. Let's go into a couple of things. Let me see something here. I'm going to go into a couple of things that's going to deal with this. First of all, there was a great African moment. How many people went down and saw the slave memorial or the African burial memorial? If they had you on, every time I pop up, you on the TV. I think the day that NBC showed it, they showed you on the TV. I saw you walking off in the back. I said, oh, Lord. Every time I look up. You see what I'm saying? You know, I used to work for Jesse Jackson back in the campaign days. And there was one of the guys that Jesse Jackson godson. And Jesse Jackson used to teach him, always stay in front of the camera, boy. That's how you make it. And so when the guy, Reverend Hosea Williams, died in Atlanta, real black activist, revolutionary type of a brother from the civil rights movement, he died in 2000. They had the mule carrying his wagon like Martin Luther King. And in the wedding, Jesse Jackson ran up and got beside the mule and walking down the ship. He even hugged the mule a couple of times. They said, stand from the camera. Always stand in front of the camera. But the African burial is a great monument because I'm going to go into the science on this, on how things are manifesting, but you still in the trauma state, but we are winning the war. But we winning it spiritually. And you don't want to deal with nothing that you can't see with your own two eyes. You understand what I'm saying? We are winning this war spiritually. Now, that monument down there has Legba. I saw Legba on there. I saw Urzuli. I saw Zarabanda, which is Congo. It's got everything. Did it have any Egyptian stuff? I don't know. But we need to go down and study this thing. Because it's a monument, but it's a monument to all these deities. Remember I told you in February that all the deities said they wanted a truce? With the Congo, ones that generally didn't get along and they wanted a truce. And yet we go down to this monument and I'm like, man, this is a great day. They showed Zarabanda, which a lot of people, they don't even mention him, from the Congo, right? They showed it on NBC News. So you need to go down. Now what is going on? Now let me explain something, what's going on with that. In 1975, let me see if I can find this page. There's a book called Messengers of Deception. Came out by this guy's name, Jacques Vallée. Came out in 1975. Now in 1947, there's supposed to have been a Roswell crash. You know what I'm saying? Which was fake. What had crashed, what you call a UFO, was the government experiments from Area 51 and all of that. Because if it was physical and it crashed, that lets you know it's government. Because our stuff and the stuff that comes from the sky is spiritual. It ain't no different than angels and aliens. They're the ancestors. You might have an ancestor floating around like a comet out there. Used to drink Coke 45 down the street. That's how great we are. That's how great we are. But let me jump into this right quick. On the African Memorial, and let's line this thing up to let you know that we own it. I used to come for the last 15 years, but from 2003 to from 1993 to 2000, I was reporting all this information. Used to come with bags of books. And then in 2000, I started living this stuff spiritually. I started living this stuff spiritually. And so everything that I've been talking on since 2000 been my own life experience amongst the gods. Amongst the gods. That's where we're going now with this thing. We got to go beyond, you understand, the regular aspect, and that's what we're going to deal with today. Now, that monument, I'm going to show you something. 1947 was supposed to be a UFO crash, which was fake. 1975. Now listen to this. 1975. There were some people you know called the Jehovah's Witness. And this is some science that you didn't know. The Jehovah's Witness used to be a big, huge organization. It's not just a few black women out there passing out pamphlets around subway stations. It's nothing compared to what it was in the 70s before 1975 when they aggravated the hell up out of you, knocking on your door. The Jehovah's Witness had a prophecy that the world was going to end in 1975.
That's right. That's right.
That didn't happen, and it broke the structure. They was never able to recuperate. They had a mass movement that was big as the Southern Baptist Convention. But once the prophecy didn't come true, people whittled themselves away, and it's now this side organization compared to the monstrosity it was before 1975. Part of the prophecy was true. They just didn't know how to read it, because most religious people are on the low level. They read things that's the apparent. And it's never the apparent. It is always something beyond the apparent. So when it don't line up down here physically, it don't mean it didn't line up. It just wasn't lining up physical, because this is an illusion. That which is spiritual, you see what I'm saying, is beyond the physical. So it broke the infrastructure, but something did happen in 1975. I want to read this to you. It's in a book called Messengers of Deception. And after this, message by Jacques Vallée. See, can I find this? I'm going to show you I got to get my glasses now. As I said now. Had to go to, what it's called, two glasses for $69 on an eye test. American, what's the name of this eyeglass place? Anybody know? No, ain't Pearl Vision, they high. You got to go two glasses, two eyeglasses and an eyeglass for $69. No, not Lens Crafters. America's Best. Y'all got that up here?
Yeah, we got it.
You better recognize. You better recognize. And get you some. So what happened was, I said, well, let me go down here and get these glasses. Me and McQueen, we got two glasses, and you know. And the more you use them, the worse you see. I used to couldn't see words, and now the pictures are going. I was an artist. Bees that way sometimes. Now, I want to read this to you. I want to read this to you right now, and I'm going to read it and show you what's going down. Y'all all right?
Right.
Okay then. Let me don't waste your time. Okay. Let's see, can I find this thing? Jack, anyway, I'm going to paraphrase what happened. Because it's about 4 or 5 pages, I got to find the page, and I didn't mark the page number. So, what had happened was in 1975, there was a group of people studying in certain psychic channels, certain esoteric information, and they were studying, and they was tapping in through meditation and different things. So what they call the collective higher council of the extraterrestrial community, which is inside of your central nervous system, let me get ready to break this thing down with the sachet thing in a minute, contacted these people in 1975 and told them that we are of a council called UMO, UMMO. And it was later on translated Emiya, which is the Dogon goddess, which is also Yemenya in Yoruba, in Santeria and Yemonja in Yoruba. But in Dogon it's called Emiya, Sirius C, the third planet from the star system Sirius. but they contacted under the modern name of UMO, UMMO. And they said they were from the destination of the wolf, which is the wolf, the dog star, the jackal, the wolf, the destination of the wolf. So they had this extraterrestrial contact. What the Jehovah's Witness was seeing was the coming together of this council that contacted these people on the earth in 1975, not physical. And they saw this in a vision and they mistook it for the end of the world. Now, let's go to 2007. The scenes have shifted. In August, we got a contact of some entity called OMAS. Write this down. O-M-O-Z. OMAS. A collective higher council. And then after that, we got this collective higher council and a monument. Right downtown, with just all the coming together of these African energies. But O-M-O-Z, OMAS contacted us in August, which is this collective higher council, which is Osiris, Mayat, Obatala, and Zarabanda. I said, oh, so you all are doing a representative of the entire African Energy Council and all of those, some of those things can go all up in the East Indian stuff can go from one part of the world. Africa, India, Samaria, on up into China, Tibet. The West Africa thing can go and cover all of the American stuff, including OMEC. I said, man, this is the council. And then all of a sudden we get this monument. You got to write that shit down. OMAS. This is real powerful stuff. This is some powerful stuff that's happening. This is the same. I said, wait a minute, hold on. I heard something. I said, wait a minute, hold on. Are you the same UMO people that contacted these occultists in 1975? They say the very same. I said, you the same one that broke the Jehovah's Witness thing for miscalculating it the wrong way? Exactly. But I say, you back now, and you got actual names, and you got the God names with it. They said, right. That's what time it is. There's some real serious stuff that's happening. And right after that came, we got Gina. We got OJ. You see what I'm saying? We got people getting raped in Virginia. We got the woman with the cross at Columbia. We got crosses being hung on trees in North Carolina. Like Al Sharpton said, they got crosses that's happening every day. It's all for distraction because the OMAS thing is here, baby. You see what I'm saying? Write that down. O-M-O-Z. OMAS. Or it used to be UMO. You see. So this is the stuff that is going down. So what we're going to do is, we're going to come back, we're going to get into the PowerPoint of the lecture. And, okay, get into the PowerPoint of the lectures. Now, I got some pictures on the PowerPoint, but I also got some new pictures. I want to say this, I got an ANUBIS picture that's very powerful. I also have an entity that nobody has seen that come out of Hemmitt. They've been looking for it for years. We just saw his image recently. And it's a son of Sekhmet called Nephitim. We had his human forms when Buzz was translating, and a lot of the early translation, they got his human pictures, and they show his human pictures on the monument, but the real picture, the Sekhmet picture, has never been found. I want to say this, I want to click right quick to it. This thing has never been found. I just want to click right quick to this. I'm going to scan right quick through it. And, you got to wait, let come up. Pile.
Don't give it up to him, Bob.
Don't give it up to him. We ain't ready for it yet.
You might as well wait for the lecture.
I'll tell you what, we wait for the lecture. Okay.
All right, let's give it up for our brother.
We all come back now.
I want you to see that our people is not afraid of black power. Turn to the left. Black power just means black economics, black education. Don't get spoofed out. We ain't telling y'all to go get no guns and let's go kill white. We just talking about black power for black people. All right. Black power? Black power. Sutek. Sutek. Sutek is an ancient Kemetic word which means black power. Sutek. Sutek. Brother Bobby Hemmitt, give it up.
Well, first of all, you know, they got all these people coming down with autism. It's the biggest growing so-called thing, and they don't know what to do about it. Autism, you know, a lot of the, you know, Tony Braxton child has autism. Who else? So there's a bunch of people coming down with these children with autism. And the reason why they can't understand what's going on, first they thought it was the vaccinations, but they hurried up and they took this ingredient or whatever it was in these vaccines, they took it out in '99. But since then, the autism has been on the increase, and it is actually quadrupled since '99, even when they took it out of the vaccines. It's like tenfold. And you see these commercials, they talk about the autism is, you know, the chance of a person getting it is this basically a normal chance of them you having an autistic child. What's really happening here is we have two worlds we live in. The world of the physical and the world of the spiritual. In the younger time of the earth, the physical world was strong and the spiritual world had faded into a weak state. That's why it became invisible. At one time, the physical world was all what you saw. And one time the spiritual world is all what you saw, and the physical world was this dim cloud. And as we got into the closer and closer into the physical world, the physical world became visible, and the spiritual world became a dim cloud, or these little black figures that you see lurking around when you turn your head like this. You ever turned your head, you thought you saw a shadow or a shade? You see more of those, the brothers ask you about that. That's the physical world. But because you're seeing more of it now, especially when you by yourself. Now, what the hell? That's because that means it's becoming closer and closer. If you get some of my earlier tapes or some of my tapes, I always show this picture of these two black figures called Black Kundalini. And that's those shades, the kingdom of the shades, that is coming back into being. Did Brother Arcia leave?
Call his name out.
Brother Arcia, he still here? Huh? Well, you need to bring him on in.
Go get him, please.
Yeah, because we always want to uphold these new speakers. And so last year, 2006, it was the introduction of Brother Rashid that came with the whole Kabbalistic concepts. Now we got another brother here that's lighting it up, and it's this brother, Brother Arcia. I want to get him on the camera. You know, I want to get that photo op with this Negro. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You know, and you know, I want to get that photo op and stuff like that because
that's right.
Because we sending stuff up to Canada. And they eating it up, man. I want to get that. You know how you do that. What's up, brother? We want to let you know, man. You know, you came out smoking, and that's great, man. That means you know that the legacy continues. Thank you, and it's on, man. You know it's on, and I'm gonna tell you.
Selling them up in Canada?
Oh man, we sent the tape. We got the tapes down in Atlanta, and they loved them. And so we sent them up to Canada, and so the group up in Canada is all in their early 20s. So, you know, they the testosterone crowd. Right. And so they was loving it. They was loving it. So they was like, yo, man, can you get in touch with him and stuff? I said, well, hell, I'm trying to get in touch with him myself. So we can get you on up to Canada and stuff, you see. And also, man, so it's cool. If you haven't seen the brother, some dynamite stuff. Thank you. You see what I'm saying? Now, your brother Rashid opened for me. These new people are coming and stuff like that. You know, we got a couple of people on the frequency, but this is the new edition of the hot shit. Okay. You see what I'm saying? You do right to the plain language. Yeah. So if you haven't seen the brother, you need to get some of his tapes. His brother Arcia.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Brother, sister.
You see. So y'all deal with that. And the brother's a musician. We heard some of his music today. And all of that. So, you know, we want to pump some of that and pump some of that out. Like I said, the brother Rashid, it opened for me. Want to get some of his stuff. We still got people on the frequency. Like I said, brother Azazel, you know, a hard hitter. That's been out here and stuff, you know. So we want to support any kind of information we get. Now, going back to this physical world, the physical world is the world we know, but it's slowly bumping into the spiritual world. The spiritual world is now coming into view. That's why I kept telling you, you got to look out for little small spiritual things. That's because there's another world that's existing concurrently with this world that is now becoming dominant. And the more and more you give way to that world, let me give you a good way based on the economic thing. How many people, when you got money, the money slows down, and when you get to your last dollar, or when the bank is very low, then all of a sudden the money start coming in. Yeah. Now you ever seen this thing? Yeah. So what it is the way it is in the spirit world now. If you hoard it, it slows down. We counted change the other day. You see what I'm saying? We counted change the other day. You see? And then the next day, bam, some money just came through. You see? So that's how this thing is. When you hoard it, it slows down. When you let it flow, it's called currency. What does a current do? It flows. When you shut down a current, the money becomes dormant. So in order to do it, you got to flow. So misers, man, that's a real bad way. Because being a miser and a cheap person is talking about something, it don't even have nothing to do with your money. You are actually, there's something blocking in your soul. And it's repelling people and money. So if you're a cheap person, the first thing you need to do is don't argue about when you go and you see something, your spirit tell you you need to get it, and you got to go negotiate with your mind on why you want to get it. I've known people. We used to have a place in Atlanta. We sold the metaphysical books, and the people would come up. We were like, damn, you would think you was buying a house. It's a book. It's $14. Get the book. They had a pencil and a piece of paper. I'm like, you that cheap? The books is knowledge. Knowledge is rich. You see what I'm saying? So you slowing stuff down. So that's how the spirit world works. You're going to have to redo the way you think of stuff. Another thing, stop doing. Stop scheduling shit in. Well, I think I can schedule you in on Monday. That's some white people shit. You're supposed to let it flow. Sometimes somebody drop through. Somebody drop through, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you have a jam session. Now, what you need to do, now guess what? Aset and Hemmitt, the two chief figures in Hemmitt, Aset and Hathor. They say they was in the Christian church all through all the holy sanctified shit. Because whenever you hear that tambourine is Hemmitt's instrument and Aset. If you look at the sistrum, it's the same instrument converted into the tambourine. So the tambourine, get you a tambourine and get the one, they got some they call professional ones, and then you grip them and you shake it like this. They got the one with the drum thing, but get you some tambourines because that's Aset stuff. And then beat it to some funk. So we'll get in there and I start playing this music in the house. People will drop through, and all of a sudden we talk, we think we're going to move out in about 4 or 5 minutes. We start playing some music. The next thing you know, we into a jam session. We bring out the tambourines, the shaker rays, stuff, start knocking on stuff, and that's when you breaking through to the spirit realm, and that's how you got to start doing things. But anyway, that spirit realm is here, so as a result, the baby's now coming in autistic. That is a soul that is stuck between two realms. It's stuck between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. You see what I'm saying? So it functions, so it doesn't have the full function of a person that's totally trapped into the physical realm. So that's what this autism thing. So the autistic babies is showing you a sign that those physical realms is here. Now we're going to get into the first part of the lecture. We're going to get into ANUBIS' mother, which is the god Neptet. You know as Neptes. I'm going to show you some stuff here. So, first of all, we're going to do this. Oh, I got to do it here, right. Click this on. Click it again. Okay, there we go. This is my queen, Linda. This is my queen, Linda. You think it'd be better to turn the lights down?
Yeah. Turn the light right there, brother. Right there, right. There you go.
Okay, this is my queen, Linda. We hooked up in 2004. You see what I'm saying? This is before I transformed myself with the goatee. Because we did a lecture on Pan, which is the goat. And so then I started growing a goatee, and the rest is history. You see what I'm saying? You know. Then all of a sudden, you know, babes started staying and stuff and coming back and stuff. Now, so So this is my Queen Linda. This is when she first got down to Atlanta. A very mysterious queen, but this is her mother who just made the transition on the 2nd of October. And this is her mother, because she's from D.C. Now, John Henry Clark said people from D.C. It's called Charge of the Light Brigade, as John Henry Clark said. They're real light-skinned people up in that area. She even said she had some brothers that passed. She got one brother that passed for white, and got all kind of Italian people up on one side of the family. But this is her mother, which is interesting here. She made the transition on the 2nd of October. Real mysterious figure. This is another picture of her when she was at Howard University. And look, and it's ironic because how I hooked up with my queen is I knew my queen. I met my queen during the Million Woman March in Philly. And I told her she looked like a lot of my family members and my cousins. I got a group of cousins look like her. And so that's how we kept in touch all the years, by calling each other cousins. And then in 2004 we hooked up. You see what I'm saying? And, and she came down from D.C. and, we can't get out the country now. Love it. That's one thing about northern people. They talk shit, but if you ever get them down there for a couple of months in that country, if they stay about a year or two, you got to put a gun to their head to get them out. Now, it's interesting because country folks, I know people that came to New York and lived in squalor and had a mansion down home in Mississippi and Alabama, but you couldn't put a gun to their head to take them back to Mississippi and Alabama. I guess I'm like that. I was born in a small town, looked like Mayberry. I don't even like grass. So it's either New York or I settle for Atlanta, but I'm a metropolitan person. But anyway, the deal is with her, and I'm going to get into this. I'm going to go back to her in a few minutes, because I'm going to show the goddesses. I'm going to show something after this. Remember the last time I was here, see, and the reason why I'm saying this about these particular people is to say that the gods and the goddesses are here, and they have always been here. And a lot of time you learn new gods and goddesses when you go to the next level, or go to the next realm, or what we call make the transition. And so there's a sister named Ty Seeley, who was a psychic. She used to come and do reading. She used to go to Valentine for a little short brief time. And so she's a psychic and a seer. And I think she came up to New York recently and did something at one of these events they had. But you'll probably know her because she came to the Metaphysical Masters back in when Valentine was doing them back in 2000, but back in '94. So anyway, Ty Seeley back in 1994 gave me my mother's spiritual name. I told you about this the last time I was here. And her spiritual name was Mentep Sing Sing. Her original name was Glaciria Hemmitt. But her spiritual name was Mentep Sing Sing. So when I gave her spiritual name back in 1994, now she just made the transition last summer, 2006. But when I gave her the spiritual name, Mentep Sing Sing, she said, that shit sounds Asian. And she just made the transition, but I talked about this last. This is a picture of my mother when she was in her 20s, and she looks Asian. You see what I'm saying? So to let you know, and so sure enough, when she passed on, the goddess Kuan Yin showed up. Well, let me show you some other Asian stuff. She died on July the 20th, 2006. 30 years to the day, Bruce Lee died on July 33 years. Bruce Lee died on July the 20th, 1973. You see? Hank Aaron's last game he played in the Major League was July 20th, 1976, 30 years before she died, before she made the transition. So I go to tell you that to say, soon as she went to the other aspect, the goddesses showed up. Well, the goddesses showed up about in 2005, right after Katrina. Kuan Yin showed up. She was born in 1935, and Kuan Yin showed up in 2005 when she, right when she turned 70. You see what I'm saying? And so the point I'm trying to make here is, these entities that we talk about in these books are actually you, and a lot of people find out this whenever they make the transition. So, this sister made the transition on the 2nd. But it's interesting here because before she made the transition, I'll show you this. I'll go to this next one. This goddess, this is a, I'm going to give you, I'll go to the next one. Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to go to the next one. This goddess, right here, this is Nephthys, a Neptet. She has a Neptet, a Nephthert, a Neptet. She came in June. She said, lift me up. I've been down for thousands of years. Okay, so I did a lecture, and I went to travel to Shreveport and did a whole lecture on this deity. And then all of a sudden, when I did a lecture on this deity started to rise. This is Aset. This is Nephthys, a Neptet. Neverhet, Neptet. There's several pronunciations. But the Greek name, which is printed the most, is Nephthys. Come to find out, the Greek name is Egyptian, and guess what? We now know that these names that was given to the Greeks was given to the Greeks by the Egyptians. I'll tell you, there was a whole university, and the Greek language, as far as the script, Greek and Latin, those are all made by the ancient Egyptians in schools that they gave script. They had texts that they gave to the neighboring people. I'll go into that in a few minutes. Anyway, Neptet, or Neverhet, is the dark Isis. If you get a goddess, she always has a dark side. So she is called the Black Isis. In Samaria, you have Inanna and you have a Rescagoo. And Inanna descends into hell and meets her sister and dies and hung up on a meat hook for 3 days, and then resurrect on the 3rd day. Does this story sound familiar? Well, but her sister, who lives in the kingdom of the underworld, is nothing but the neglected half of Inanna. So a Rescagoo, who is an underworld deity. Now somebody's talking on the phone. Y'all need to cut the shit off. We don't want to get nigga on you, but goddamn, you know, because niggas will go there. Cut the phone off. You see, because you're disturbing the other people. Now, Nephthys and Rescagoo, which is Inanna's sister, is nothing but the neglected half of Inanna, the queen of heaven. Inanna is Aset in Egypt, and Nephthys is nothing but her neglected half. So they say in the future the dark Isis need to be turned into the light Isis, which is not talking about white. It's talking about light as far as the soul bar. So one sister has to transform into the higher form of the other sister, and they come together. Then they get the full fruition of the goddess. So now, I want to go back to this one. This is the same one now. If I go to this one, this is coming off of the sarcophagus. It's coming off of the sarcophagus of King Tut's sarcophagus, in which he's encased, where his famous, this is actually his shrine, in which the famous sarcophagus is encased in, about 3 or 4 of them. On the door of there is this particular 2 goddesses, Neptet and Aset. Well, here's the same rendition of it, drawn out. Oh, I'm going backwards. Okay, hold on 1 minute. Getting used to the technology. Drawn out. They just got a little lazy and put the other throne of Aset on the head. It's supposed to be a house throne. But this is the same one. I gave you the original picture until the artist rendition. They took the Nephthys and they still put the throne on Aset's head. Now, but this is it. But if you look at this closely, this is coming from King Tut's shrine. This is the Masonic squared compass. That's why it's fitting that we do this in this building tonight. This is the Masonic squared compass. This is also the lips of the vagina. What is called them? What is called the technical people? The labia. This is also the labia. You see what I'm saying? It's also the labia. There's a whole other civilization if you mess around with this. You see what I'm saying, brothers? We take this for granted, but you need to start dealing in these areas. You see what I'm saying? with your tongue. And you get the benefit. You see? So this is a whole other civilization right here that people take for granted. These things are not here for no reason. You best believe that. Everything is everything. You see what I'm saying? Let me show you how advanced the vagina is. If you cut the hairs off, you send a signal. If you shave your hair, you send a signal that it no longer produces an odor. It shuts down that part. You see what I'm saying? If you put the hair on it, it produces an odor for the simple fact here is it can flow a certain way because it's cleaning out, but because it has the hair there. This is an intelligence. Everything is an intelligence. But when you cut that off, if you shave that, the odor stops. It knows, it does certain things based on the certain reactions you do. So if it does that with that, what you think you do when you come in contact. So that's also what it is. But it's also the square and the compass. It's showing you the physiological aspect of this thing. You understand where I'm coming from? Now, going right along. Okay, so this is the same two goddesses, and you see the actual, oh, excuse me, go back. You see the actual, this is a little house on her head. And this is the throne, which is also a symbol for the star Sirius. And as you see, they are venerating and raising up the eye of Heru. These are two that is standing in the doorway of Melanin. Yeah, I'm gonna get there. I'm glad you're directing it. Okay, now let's go on. This is another form of the same goddess, Heru. Same goddess, Heru. Now we'll bring this into reality in a few minutes to show you how things line up. And so what we're doing is we're getting people that's making the transition, and they're automatically aligning with the gods. So when Asa Hemmitt made the transition, Anubis came through and said, that's a part of me. He's Anubis. I am Pooh. You see what I'm saying? When they make the transition. Now, going right along. This is one where the two sisters are lining up, and they are, they are venerating or adoration of the Ankh. So that if these two goddesses are worshiping the Ankh, it means that the Ankh that you get, that you think is just some little symbol or some trinket, it has a lot of power to it. So everybody should align themselves up with Ankhs. And the more creative you do with making these Ankhs, the more energy you bring into your house. Or bring around yourself. So everybody needs an Ankh. Now, moving right along. This is the Mac. This is the Mac with Max Julian, Richard Pryor, and Roger D. Mosley. 1972. A new kind of hero on, what's that? On the streets. New kind of hero on the streets. This is the Mac. Everybody should be familiar with this poster. This poster has very significant spiritual significance. I'm going to show you the original Mac in history. Same brother. Osiris. This, you see, look, everything is everything. I've learned this in the spirit world. Things that you think is just ignorant or stupid or we just was following around and stuff. Everything is everything. This is the ancient form of the same damn picture. Now, this is the original pimp right here, of the Mac. This is Osiris, or Osar, who hooked up with two sisters and made love to both of them. Aset had Horus or Heru. The sister get that pronunciation again? What's that? Neverhet had the son Anubis or Anpu for Osar or Osiris. So he was playing both sides to the middle. He was so bad he was getting busy with two sisters. You see what I'm saying? This is the same concept. Now, remember I said that these are the labia? Well, this is the penis inside of the labia. Ain't that something? You see? Ain't that something? This is the penis inside of it. And you know his whole concept with the obelisk? So these are ancient tantric thing. So these pictures can show a multiplicity of things. One could be sexual. One could have some psychological things. You see what I'm saying? One can have some polarity, because basically you can also be balancing the both realms of the female energy inside of you. You see what I'm saying? So it has a lot of meanings to it. Ultimately, they go into a higher level because there's the god Kefra. You see what I'm saying? Or goddess Kefra, because this is a bisexual being. You see? So this is interesting on how this thing goes. This is coming from Budge's Osiris, the Egyptian resurrection books that have these things in it and stuff like that. But it's just very interesting on how these things go. Now, this is another one where both Nephthys or Neptet is venerating Khnum, one of the Egyptian gods. It's a pre-dynastic deity also. But when you see these two, that means that Khnum is also a form of Osiris or Osar. And is venerating the devil for you people. Anytime you see the horns on the head that the devil later on becomes, those horns, when you see those horns, there's a book, Jeffrey Burton Russell's book, The Devil. Good book to read because it takes all this spookism out of what the devil is. Because the Christians didn't have any iconology of what the devil was. They just used ancient iconology. So they used the goat god Pan, which is a form of Osiris, because it's also a later form of, it's also an early form of Dionysus, which is also a form of Osiris. Dionysus is killed and cut up into pieces by Typhon. Set Typhon. Typhon is also translate Titans. So Osiris is cut up into the pieces by Typhon, Set Typhon. Dionysus is killed by the Titans and cut up into pieces and eaten by the Titans. Same story. So Dionysus is Osiris. If you get the book The Jesus Mystery by Timothy Freak and Peter Gandy, they'll have the context, the Jesus complex broken down into the Osirian Dionysus complex. So it's called The Jesus Mysteries by Timothy Freak and Peter Gandy, a revolutionary book that takes all of this Christian iconology and breaks it back down into the Kamite information. So this is the same goddesses, same goddesses that is venerating a form of Osiris, in this particular case, Khnum. Now let's see what we got here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to see what this next picture is first. Okay, yeah. Now, this is interesting here. You heard the story of Bethany, of Jesus, when they took Jesus off the cross. He was buried by who? Mary and Mary Magdalene. You heard these stories. Well, in Hemmitt, when Osiris died, or Osar died, it was Nephthys and Aset that was at the burial site that was involved in the burial and the resurrection. Now this is interesting here because we know that Aset is Mary. Then who would Nephthys be? Mary Magdalene. Now everything is everything. Remember the Da Vinci Code came out last year, and there's about 20 books on Mary Magdalene that came out in the last 3-4 years. And then all of a sudden, a year after the Da Vinci Code, this Nephthys gets in touch with me and say, raise her up. Now what do they mean by raise her up? Do they mean I have the power to raise her up? No, they say to speak of the gods mean they live again. So when I do a lecture on her, that's a form of raising her up. You understand where I'm coming from? So this is how the science goes. Okay, this is a goddess called Serket. Serket is a scorpion goddess to show you what you're doing. My woman is Scorpio. My woman is Scorpio. And I pretty much got this diplomatic style. I go for about 3 or 4 months trying not to upset her. See what I'm saying? So basically I walk real quiet in my own damn house. Don't let the yellow fool you. You see what I'm saying? Because whenever she goes on the warpath, it's very severe. You know what I'm saying? This woman actually beat me up one day, and I'm sitting there amazed. I said, I know I can't hit her back, but she whipped up on my behind and stuff. And I told you I was in the supermarket I was in the supermarket, and there was a little flap on the basket you're supposed to put up with a child set. Well, she didn't put that flap up. and a can of corn or something fell on my foot and hurt my damn big toe, my little toe. So I said, you're supposed to flip this flap up. And why did I do that for? She went off on a nigga in front of about 100 people in the supermarket. Went off. You see what I'm saying? So I walk quiet. So I try to be diplomatic about it. Because basically, in my 20s and my early 30s, most of my relationship was spent arguing. And I thought about that. I said, wait a minute. Do we actually, is there a concept where we can get to our point where we don't argue? Because I used to love to argue. So I'm not just this timid person. This is an experiment with me. I used to love to argue. I was a Sagittarius. So I love to argue. So I'm not saying these things about I walk quiet in my house because I'm a timid person. I did this in an experiment with my last 2 relationships. I just decided, look, I'm going to rise above it all. So I don't, and I realized you can actually be in a relationship where 98.8% of the time is peaceful. So we might have an altercation maybe every 3-4 months. And that's good. When you got people walking around hating each other, sleeping in the same bed. Yeah. But that's that scorpion too. You see what I'm saying? So there's the devil up under there too. You see what I'm saying? I'm being held hostage with Satan. I'm crying out for help here. Somebody rescue me. Yeah, I talked about Satan all them years, and then all of a sudden shit showed up in my bedroom. They say, do not ask for nothing. You just might get it. You see? But 90% of the time, he's the sweetest person on earth. But that's that Scorpio energy also, too. And all, so she's in charge. Like I said, I can't find nothing. She throw away everything. I have to tell her, that ain't trash. That's memorabilia, because it's going in the trash can. Now, you see what I'm saying? Now, dealing with this, I want to go back. Because we're dealing with the neptet. I want to go back. Dealing with the neptet. Okay, hold up. Now, we're dealing with neptet. Now, let's go back. To show you these gods turn into something. First of all, this sister here that just made the transition, Neptet is called the dark eye. So she's a fallen daughter. Her husband was Set. Although she had a baby for Osiris, her husband was Set. And she was a housewife. So in so many words, she was held captive by Set. Now there's another story, you hear the Greek story of Demeter and Persephone. Persephone is snatched into the underworld by Hades. Now, this is very key here because there's a book I called, let me get this right, Heaven's, let's see, Earth's daughter, Hell's bride. And the story is Persephone, who is Neptune. This is the Phoenician story. Because the Greeks just basically orally copied the Phoenician story, the Sumerian story, which used to be pre-dynastic. So follow me on this. Neptune was a young, beautiful maiden walking around. She had her mother taking care of her named Demeter, who is a form of Isis. And Neptune was snatched into the underworld by Hades. That's Set Typhon. And it also can be Osiris too. This is the king of the underworld. She was raped and she was snatched into the underworld by Hades. Now follow this story. Hades, Demeter had to set out to go rescue her daughter. So she camps out in a place that borders the underworld and the physical world, called Eleusis or Elysius. That's where you go when you die. It's a place that's not yet heaven, because heaven has to be established on earth. And the real heaven hadn't gotten here yet. That's what we're doing now. The kingdom is being ushered in by the conscience of a people in America that was supposed to usher in the kingdom of Maya. That's you. And as we figure these things out in this lecture, that's a part of ushering in the kingdom. You just don't understand that you are being taken part of the magical situation, because you still think that you some nigga out here on the street that was born in Harlem, the Bronx, or wherever, and don't know that you the angelic people that the whole world is looking for. Now remember, Afghanistan, the reason why they bombed Afghanistan and blame them on the Bin Laden? Because in 1999, Afghanistan, the people in Afghanistan had a celebration in the streets of Afghanistan. They did it in Afghanistan and they did it in Pakistan. And they had a celebration, and when the American visitor was over there saying, why are you celebrating? They said, we are celebrating some hidden gods that has risen up in the United States. This is what they said, 1999 NBC News. Then all of a sudden, Afghanistan is bombed, and then they blow up a train in Pakistan, and they got some stuff going on there. Y'all better recognize. They say, we are celebrating a group of hidden gods in the United States. They were talking about you.
Right.
So the people that we're talking about in this mythology is us. So in so many words, now going back, Demeter Persephone, which is Nephthys, is snatched into the underworld. Her mother, which would be her sister in Egypt, her mother has to go after her and goes to Eleusis and makes her way into Hades and make a deal with Hades that she would spend half the year in the underworld, that's your winter, and half the year in the upper world, which is the earth, that's the summer. And that was the deal that was made out. And there's a book called Earth's Daughter, Earth's Daughter, Hell's Bride, or something like that. But just get another book called Mysteries of the Dark Moon. And go online and look up the Persephone Demeter mythology. It's 2,000-3,000 years old. But anyway, she has to be rescued. Now, when Nephthys, which is a form of Persephone, came in June and said, rescue me, I've been down on the bottom for thousands of years. And we did the lecture in Freeport, Louisiana. Next thing we know, this sister starts to slip away in September. She starts to slip away in September. Now, if there was ever a person, so they say so in psychology they got a black man or any kind of male dominant figure. They call it Hades male, narcissism or whatever. And part of you being held captive, and your husband might be a maniac, an egomaniac, which is a maniac. Right. And you might be held captive by your husband. So now, if there was ever a Nephthys fallen figure, the fallen daughter that's always, Nephthys is always in pain and suffering. It's Persephone, she suffers under the domain of Hades until the mother rescued her, and she has to spend 6 months on top of the earth and 6 months in hell. If there was ever a Hades figure, this sister got married to Linda's father that had 4 children. And this woman loved this man until when he left in the late 60s, came back for a brief time in the 70s. And when he left about 40 years ago, here's a woman that spent 40 years with a broken heart. And her heart was broke so bad, she could not get past him to the day she died. She had 3 heart attacks, diabetes, arthritis, you name it, she had it. Not, to the point where as she advanced into suffering. You know, so people can go into suffering to a level till it becomes commonplace, so she can live with it. Always in pain, always suffering. You see what I'm saying? Always suffering. And I saw her at age 79 because she turned 80, and man, she was a knockout then. I'm like, dang. You know, well, her daughter is a piece. So I mean, you know, and stuff, and all right, and it's hard to believe that. It's hard to believe this is how she looks now, and she's gonna hit the big 5-0 on the 20th of. She's gonna hit the big 5-0 on the 20th of November. She's born on the 20th. I'm born on the 28th. But going back to this mother. This woman, with Nephthys say rise up, then the next thing we know, she starts slipping away. And she had 40 years of suffering with a broke heart. She never got over him leaving. Now check this out. her foot came down with gangrene. So Linda went in. That's why you got to get some more of those that left, which is my queen. She went in. I want to show you these pictures. And she healed her gangrene. I want to keep going. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on 1 minute. Oh, you didn't see him now. I want to go back. Keep on going. Okay, hold on 1 minute. See, you know, I'll go back to this picture. I want to show you this. Don't this look like some sisters you know in Harlem? You ever met some sisters like this? This is a real picture of how the ancient Egyptians used to look. This is one that they only brought out this year. And she's a darker image, but that looked like some sisters I know. This is a real person that actually lived. You see what I'm saying now? This is the Sri Yantra. I have these. So when her leg came down in gangrene, with gangrene, my queen went in and took this. All you got to do is memorize this, and sent these pyramids to the cells in her foot, and it healed overnight. Now we know this can happen because there was a European guy that went down to Nigeria, and the Yoruba people healed his gangrene overnight, and he became a high priest in Yoruba. Got several books out. So this can happen. So this healed her overnight, the Sri Yantra. She took this and projected it into her foot, and it healed overnight. But guess what happened? The next day she went into a coma. Now what happened? There's some stuff happened. My mother was well up until the day she died, but in 2004, she just came down, her kidneys just shut down, well, her kidneys and this diabetes and stuff. And so when we got the stuff about the healing, they said, you know, well, the spirit world said when your body makes a contract to leave at a certain time, it's going to leave regardless. You see what I'm saying? So now, her body, the sister we talking about, Carrie Ann Ferguson, body made a contract to leave. Her soul was saying, I'm getting the hell up out of here. Because even Linda said, I believe her soul is tired and it wants to go. And so when she said, well, just for precaution, because her mother, so you got two parts. You got yourself and the quantum self. The quantum self is your soul, and it knows. And then there's the self to believe to be the human that you think you are. This human on this earth was so used to suffering until when that leg healed, she was just going to go back into what she normally was. But she's 80 now. But her soul said, hell no. I'm getting the hell on. So the soul went into a coma and had to give her a stroke and go into a coma so the soul can go a week later. You know when the soul went, she made sure that her Social Security paid off her bills, and the day her daughter wrote the last check for her bills is the day she died. She ascended. So she stuck around in the coma to make sure her business was straight. You see what I'm saying? And then she ascended. But she used this Sri Yantra. So we still have some of these left. Okay? So going, long story short, Nephthys, mother of Anubis, came to the planet and wanted to be raised up. Each one of you might, so half of us might be Nephthys people, or Neptet people. Half of us might be Aset people. So whatever person that she fell up under, Nephthys took her. You understand what I'm saying? Because she exemplified Nephtet's suffering. And so her rising was a part of Nephtet's rising, or her ascension, her ascension. So you got to look at death as a rising. Y'all all right? Yeah. Show you how this stuff lines up. Let's go on. Let's go on. All right. This is Big Mama. I talked about her last time. This is Yemoja. They came back, and we dealt with her all from February up until this summer. Even went to the beach to do a ritual for my mother. Real powerful on the scene. So we got some pictures of her. We got this picture of her. You know what I'm saying? You know, I should have blew up the Big Mama thing here, but me being the male I am, you know the one I'm going to gravitate towards when I go. Y'all have to bear with me and stuff, but, that's what I like to see. But also, it's symbolic, because it's no different than Aset and all that and stuff. It's symbolic of the goddess and stuff, you see. So, this is the Yemonja picture, and this is a real powerful energy that's on the scene right now. But, now it's interesting, because her suffering self You know who this is, don't you? Anybody know who this is? This is Vanessa Del Rio. Now I'm getting ready to show you something, because everything is everything. But I want to go back to this first. She has a suffering self called Olokun. Olokun is the one that's up under the ocean. Yeminya is the earthly embodiment. Now Olokun in Yoruba land, in Africa, they don't, when they do the Olokun ritual to the ocean, they always include Yeminya. But somehow in Santeria, in the Western Hemisphere, they somehow separated and they do an Olokun ritual separate from Yeminya ritual. And what has started happening in the last couple of years is every time they would do an Olokun ritual, people started getting drowned. They would go out and people started being drowned in the river and they couldn't understand. So they stopped doing the Olokun ritual period in the Western Hemisphere because they was drowning. The Olokun was this river force that was drowning because they separated her from her mother tamer force, which is Yeminya. So in Europe land and Africa, they understand that you got to invoke both of them. You see what I'm saying? If you're going to do Olokun, it's got to be Yeminya with it because it's a violent energy. But over the years in Santeria, which is in the Western Hemisphere, they separated it through tradition or just deterioration, or they forgot it, and they do one separate to Olokun, and a lot of people was drowning. You see what I'm saying? So Olokun is also the suffering of the dark side, or what they call the underside. This is not evil as it is polarities. You see what I'm saying? You got to get out of this good and evil stuff. It's just polarities. It's like water or gasoline. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have to stack a match around some damn open gasoline. Alright? Or smoke around some gas tank while you're trying to pump your car up with gas. Alright? So that's what these dark side is. This is the more potent energy. It's the Kali energy. Kali, Durga is the higher energy. Kali is the dark energy. So it's not evil. You got to get out of that evil stuff. That church stuff that make everything evil. And they say evil is only what when the grandchildren grow up and forgot what the older people knew, they call what they don't understand evil. Alright? This is Vanessa Del Rio. Show you everything is everything. I was dealing with the Palo spirits, and the branch I was dealing out of was from Puerto Rico. Palo Manombe, the dark, the real potent stuff from the Congo, Africa. So this spring they came through and said, we got our goddess too. I said, who? Yeah, I'm talking about I'm giving you this lecture all today about you other gods. They say Vanessa Del Rio from Puerto Rico. And they showed her mama they showed her mama in a document. Her mama was jet black, blue black. Her mama looked just like Yeminya, that big mama picture I just showed. Yeah. This is how the Vanessa Del Rio mama looked. Ain't no doubt about it. You see what I'm saying? That's how that mama looked. You see what I'm saying? The standard for the black community. A lot of cornbread up in that right there. This is her daughter. So the Apollo said, we got a goddess too. Well, if they have a real strong violet energy, a real strong potent energy, naturally it seems to me it might be right that their goddess would be a porno star. See what I'm saying? You got to understand everything is everything. And when you overlook people, like they say, the nigga around the liquor store might have a key to your salvation. You see what I'm saying? Because your perception is given to you by something else. You see what I'm saying? About somebody else that wants you to perceive something another way, or don't understand certain things. This is our set ascending. They go the same wings. And they show you that the basic angel you get in modern, a basic angel that you get in modern pictures is the same Aset, the winged Isis, ascending. This is a mothership right here. This is the energy that is coming back. Y'all all right? Okay. Let's go on. Let's go on. Now, is Brother Rashid here? Brother Rashid here?
I went back.
Okay. Well, I see. Yeah. Okay, anyway. This is the Kabbalistic version of the fallen daughter called the Shekinah. So the Shekinah, they say when Israel is in exile, which is you. Israel, Egypt, it's a metaphor for the same people. Not the Israelis. It's you. When Israel is in exile, they will take take with them in exile the fallen daughter, the Shekinah. And they will remain in exile until the Shekinah rises. Well, the Shekinah here, we now know is Neptes, or Nepethet, whatever, is the Shekinah figure. She is the suffering goddess of the world earth mother that suffers as long as her children suffers. But when she rises, it's all over. This is the same suffering person I'm telling you about. Now, let me explain this to you. When I told you about Linda's mother, Carrie Ann, or Ann, that was suffering, she represents the suffering of thousands of black women. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. Y'all with me on this? Yeah. Now, y'all got to check this out. You remember between Ginger and Linda, I had about 4 years. And I went hog wild. Had a ball. You know, I said, it's time for me to go through, just go through a whole bunch of ladies. But not have a whole, I didn't do the thing. So what I did was, it was pretty safe. I told them, look, I'm not looking for an exclusive, but you can be one of my girlfriends. You got to be honest with this thing. So it was cool, and everybody got down with the program. And so I amassed about 13 of them what I could deal with. Okay. So the key was, okay, when I'm with this sister, when I'm with this sister, you're nobody, but you just chill until I'm free. So one time, I was with a sister, what happened was I hooked up with a sister who had some good cash. So the number one cash, she had a daycare center. Woo! Daycare, baby, daycare. I take my hat off. On Friday, she had thousands of dollars. And we went to Vegas, and we went to the Luxor Hotel, and went in there and did a ritual on Christmas Day. But I'm going to tell you what happened. We were some of the only black people who was in that Luxor Hotel. And do you know all them white people bowed their head to us because for some reason they must have sent some Isis and Osiris thing going on. Because they rolled out the red carpet. Luxor, you know, is the hotel with the pyramid and all the stuff in Vegas. So we went to the Luxor Hotel and did a doggone ritual. Then we went to doggone Hollywood and got busy in Hollywood. Because we had cash. Daycare center. Old girl had cash. And I was like a little baby. Work and take care of me. I was like a little baby. Suckling the pit. It was a whole ritual. I said, shit. Work and take care of me. So we went to Hollywood. We had a hotel on Sunset Boulevard. And one of the other sisters called. I said, now you know the deal. Now I'm in a ritual. This is not the place or the time. So she hung up the phone, grabbed a 9mm, put it in her mouth, and pulled the trigger. And the bullet got caught in the chamber. But see, Freeman already told her one time before, you can't kill yourself if you spirit. You got work to do. You can't do it. You see what I'm saying? So she pulled the gun and shot the gun, and the bullet got caught in the chamber. The spirit stopped it. Let me check out what happened. So I said, well, what's up? What happened? She said, let me tell you what did happen. I didn't kill myself. She said, but immediately I went to a realm so low, and she said all it was thousands of black women crying and suffering, mainly with broken hearts and the stuff that you go through emotionally. There's a realm that these black women was on. Now, these black women are living in the physical world, but you have dual levels of existence. So then she said, I went to a realm, and she said it was thousands of black women crying and suffering with broken hearts and different things. So see, the realm is always related to the incident that you did, that you suffered from. So this was a realm that was related to all women who suffer through some aspect of unrequited love, broken hearts, or disappointment with men. And she said she went on that realm. She said, I got to get the hell up off of here. And she said she got out. So we talking. So this Shekinah thing here represents that realm. But you know what? They got realms that black men are on. That you go to those realms, it'll be black men that's in jail, black men that's suffering like from different things they suffer from, and they got these realms. That's why you gotta get out of this trauma thing of all this pain and suffering like that's vanguard. You got to get above that now because you're the gods. You understand? So Shekinah, once she rises, we come out of this, and Shekinah is rising because now we know when Neptes and Neptet came in June, that was Shekinah rising, because the original Shekinah that they talk about in the Kabbalistic text is Neptes or Neptet. Y'all all right? Okay, let's go. But that lets you know we dealing with some spirit. Sister put a 9mm in her mouth and pulled the trigger, and the spirits catch it. That's why, like they said, they shot up the mosque in Harlem, and the bullets got caught in the curtains. There's a spirit force. That's when Farrakhan said, if we go to war with you, we will win. All right. Moving right along. This is the goddess Seshet that showed up at the Melanin conference in 2006 in Detroit. It's a hell of a place to show up. The only third world country in America, Detroit. Now, this is the goddess Seshet. She's the goddess that sets beside Tahuti. Tahuti is this figure that we had on the table here. And Tahuti is this figure. And this particular figure is the god, Tahuti is the god of reading, writing, art, knowledge, chemistry, alchemy, music, just about everything that you can deal with in any form of education. It comes from the god Tahuti. He's known as Hermes in Egypt, in Greece, Iberus in Islam. Tahuti has a goddess called Seshet that sets beside her and whispers, sets beside him, and whispers in his ear the knowledge. So the knowledge is actually coming from the goddess and it's being dispensed through Tahuti. Now let me go into this. Seshet is the goddess of knowledge, and she's the goddess of books. Her name is called She Who Is Foremost in the House of Books. She's also connected. This is another form of also Neptes, a Neptet. Is Neptet. Well, you say, how does Neptet, the dark goddess? So the dark goddess is a dark substance which is also melanin. It is a substance that is in you that is a hidden substance, the hidden god. And that melanin, this goddess is the goddess over books, records. You ever heard of Akashic records? The word Akash means black. Siddhakash. Akashic records. So she is the goddess over the Akashic records. Now let me get down with the get down. Now watch this thing right here. Now this is profound. You see that stone on her head? Let me give you the neck. Okay. This is another form of the goddess Seshet. This is a papyrus drawing of the goddess Seshet. Now you see how she got her breasts out? You remember Janet Jackson? Up there in that football thing when they exposed that one breast? Everything is a ritual. And what was the colors they had on? Black and red. The melanin is inside of the blood. Two combinations of the same energy, the black and red energy. You see what I'm saying? That's an ancient occult symbol. It comes all the way back to Hemmitt. So remember, she exposed that breast. Everything is a ritual, and when she did it, in that case it was positive. The Aset and the Seshet, and they were saying, we back on the scene. You see what I'm saying? We just giving you a peek. Now the breast is a very powerful thing. The Greek form of Horus is Hercules. And Hercules goes through these 12 labors. And he does these 12 labors, which is 12 signs of the zodiac. All these different things that's attributed to 12. He goes through these 12 labors like the 12 disciples. He's the 13th man, like Jesus is the 13th man. Hercules is the Greek form of Jesus. And also Horus. Hercules and Horus, all the same stuff. Comes from Phoenicia. That's their god. You just get turned off on the Greek thing. Now check this out. When Hercules goes through his 12 labors, he's rewarded golden apples. Guess what the golden apples are?
Pineapple.
Titties. Would you prefer some titties to pineapples? I think I would. But it's also the pineapple too. It's also the pineapple. The pineapple is also, it has some stuff in it that's what's the stuff that's in pineapple? Bromelain. And it does a whole lot of stuff. It actually cleans the blood and does a lot of stuff with parasitic stuff. So Shiva deals with pineapple. So pineapple is the golden apple. I talked about that on Katrina tape from Virginia. But also it is these breasts. Understand that. You see what I'm saying? I don't need to say no more about it. Anyway. This on her head, believe it or not, this is an ancient symbol for the pineal gland. Look at that. And this is why she came to the Melanin conference and said by time you recognize, this is the ancient symbol for the pineal gland when we did research on this. Now check this out. This is a boat that carries the gods. You see that right there? That's the same symbol that's on her head, but it's carrying the god Harpocrates, Heru. Anytime you see the one with the thumb in his mouth, this is the same one. They actually have boats in Egypt or Hemmitt with this. Excuse me. They have boats in Hemmitt. Hold on 1 minute. With this actual one here on the boat. But here it is with the same thing here with this symbol, which explains something profound. Now stick with me on this. This boat that travels in the celestial rivers, the celestial rivers in Greece, or the Greek mythology, or you could say the Phoenician Sumerian mythology. Now y'all pay attention to this. The boats travel up a black river in the mythology called Styx. You get Styx records? Styx is a river that follows and flows through the underworld. Guess what that underworld is? It is in the melanin in the central nervous system of your blood system. What I am trying to tell you is what she's trying to say, that these gods that you think that someplace else in the cosmos is traveling up and down these rivers inside of your circulatory system, your blood system. You see, that's where they are. They are on the inside of you, in your central nervous system, traveling up and down the rivers. Well, let me explain what happened. The sister that just made the transition, my queen's mother, when she made the transition, when she did it before she actually died, when she went into the coma, she immediately started living inside of Linda. I used to tell her how we get on the train in Atlanta, we see all these crazy people. So that was her highlight, because she was shut in, so she lived vicariously through us. So what crazy people you saw on the train? Do you know when we got on the train, right after she went into the coma, she started squeezing Linda's arm. She was so excited. We went to Applebee's one night. One brother wanted to take us and went to Applebee's. It was full of people, full of black folks. I said, man, I don't feel like dealing with these Negroes tonight. And she said, oh, no, we got to stay up in here. She was so elated to be around all those black people because she was shut in for a couple of years. You see what I'm saying? So in so many words, she's living inside of her daughter. Remember I said that Demeter had to go rescue Persephone. Demeter is also the daughter, but Demeter is the mother, but it's also the daughter. So in so many words, her daughter was an ancient form of her mother, and now the spirit is living on the inside of her. Now when my mother passed on, I saw this light for about 45 days. It was like I was seeing something, but everything I saw was in a bright light. That was her soul on the inside of me. It's inside. But what this is saying here is that this, which is on her head, and this, which is these bolts that travel inside of this central nervous system, is on the inside of you. So all of these gods and all of these ancestors and stuff, they have to inhabit one place. Well, a kingdom It's not here yet. We are establishing the kingdom. So where are they? They're not floating around in space. They're floating around inside of you, inside of your cells, inside of your bodies. That's where your ancestors are. You see, that's some amazing stuff. Y'all with me?
All right.
So yeah. Now here is one. Here's a God, two God-like images. Well, first of all, I'll give you the second one. Okay, wait a minute, hold on. I'll give you the second one. This is the God Heru in front of the temple of Edfu. The temple of Edfu, the temple of Horus at Edfu in Kemet. This is the falcon, big falcon bird of Horus or Heru. And this is two type of bird-like figures. They even be chicken-like figures. You never know. There's some bird, some type of bird-like figures with the wings, and they're dealing with venerating an ancient form of the tree of life or an ancient form of the DNA system. Let me go back to this. Let me show you this. We first heard this from Dr. Delbert Blair about, you got 2 strands of DNA and you got another 10 strands that you see on the Kabbalistic aspect, which is also the 10 strands of DNA. When it all comes together, it becomes a 12-strand DNA. So that's what's happening with us. Our strands are coming together. That's why the autistic children are coming. Those worlds are bumping together. Now check this out. Now check this out. In this thing, not in this particular Sumerian one, they not only have 12 strands, they have 13 strands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 strands of DNA. And that's what they're showing in this particular, and you ain't got but a few things left in this is in Iraq. This is in Iraq. That's why they over in Iraq. So there's 13 strands of DNA. So that's why they over there trying to get some kind of mystery. They ain't got so many. They got these huge walls. They ain't got 2 or 3 of them. But on these walls, one of the pictures on these walls of an ancient temple is this picture here with the 13 strands of DNA. Now another thing over in Iraq, because they found a flower pot that generates electricity. There's a tape called Ancient Technology by Jim Mars. Anybody saw this thing? Ancient Technology by Jim Mars. And they got these things over there. They got a flower pot that's got some kind of limestone or something on it, and it generates electricity. So the oil companies were saying, go to Iraq and try to go in there and get these things out of these museums so we can learn how to make an alternative energy. So that's one of the reasons why they're over there. But the other thing here is the search for some kind of DNA stuff. And this is all coming from Iraq. Y'all all right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, this is the goddess Sekhmet. We've been talking about her for years. You know a lot about Sekhmet. This is the god that I raised up in Atlanta. I don't know about that, but the one I did in it, when that thing came to Atlanta, they had that heat wave. They're going to run out of water next year. Wow. They're going to run out of water next year. They said that the only way that they can say that they need a major hurricane. That's it. Wow. And they ain't about to get that. Now, this is the goddess Sekhmet. She's the Kundalini goddess. She's the ultimate goddess. She's also a Shekinah figure. This goddess Sekhmet. Now, she's supposed to have had a son. Now, I have these things here. She's supposed to have had a son. That the only pictures they had of this son was in human form. They only got one picture in Egypt, and it took them years to find it, because it was a little figure on the sarcophagus of King Tut's sarcophagus. And they finally found it. Book costs about $400 to break down to King Tut's coffin, his whole funeral, everything. They copied all that. Book costs about the book costs about $400. But what happened is the book came to a used bookstore about a year before the bookstores got on the internet. So although the internet came about in 94, and by 96 I bought this book in the bookstore for $25. Because they didn't know what it was, because just a year later when all the used bookstores started going to the internet and finding out what stuff was, the book is about $400. You see what I'm saying? The guy named is Alexander Kinkoff. The Shrines of Tutankhamun. It's about $400. And so they couldn't find her son. And then all of a sudden on July the 4th, or the 1st of July, her son came through and said, I'm Nefertim. And I said, I got to find you. And a couple of days later, I found his image. And he's back on the planet. This is her son. Now, he got 2 knives. which means he is not playing around. This nigga here is not one of these ones you want to mess with. He is not playing around. You know what I'm saying? He cut you from asshole to appetite, as they say. This nigga will kill you. Now, I bring this up to say that this, so I actually produced the Nephilim picture. It's a $400 picture. But I paid $20 for it, but still yet, it's $400. So, I got the picture for $5. And I produced this picture. If this man got 2 knives, and he's already a lion, and he came through powerful, when I got on the psychic hotline and got on him, he said, thank you. He said, I'm here, and I'm ready to kick ass and take no names. You see? Now, what does this mean? How does this benefit you? When you line yourself up with these deities, this can be the ultimate protection deity. It can also be the ultimate healing deity. So you need to get with this particular entity. Go on and find out anything you can find out of Nephilim. Nephilim, N-E-R-T-N, N-E-F-E-R, Nepher, Tim, T-E-M. Used to be an older god called Tim. This is the son of Sekhmet and Ptah. Very powerful deity. Very powerful deity. Y'all all right?
All right.
Okay. So I got him here. This is also the god of Anpu, Anubis. Now it's interesting here because Anubis' mother came, and Anpu, or Anush, he got several names. Anush, Anpu, Anub, An, John. There's several names. The most list of his names is in the book Historical Jesus Mystical Christ, Gerald Massey. Little book that they took out of a bigger book, Natural Genesis, 2-volume set. But the smaller book is Historical Jesus Mystical Christ, and they give you all these names: John, the lead, and On. You even get the word soot, which is black. That's the blackness. Oops. Hold on. That's the blackness. Hold on. That's the blackness. Soot, black. On, opening. Soot on, you get the word shut on. That's where one of the ancient words for Satan comes from. It's a form of Anubis. That's why y'all, but it's not talking about in an evil form. He's the god of the underworld. Go back one. The black and gold god. Go back one. He is the central god. God, I keep doing this. Hold on 1 minute. He is the central god. His ears are gold. And this black form, he's the central god of melanin. He's also a melanin deity. He's also a melanin deity, central god of melanin. Now I'm going to go back to one minute just to do something right quick. I want to go back. Hold on 1 minute. Now I'm going for it. Okay, I want to go back. I'm going to get to that part in a minute. But I want to see one thing. I'm going to go back. This goddess Seshet, she's recording now. And I'm going to show you what this is. I'm getting ready to break something down here I think is very profound. You ever hear the thing, when we say this to comfort, nigga get his head blowed off or he gets juked in the guts for talking shit. And you go, it was his time to go. You ever hear this from black people? It was his time to go. It was just his time to go. Well, according to this goddess, that's what she does. She records the time of the Pharaoh's life. And she determines the time and when the time to go. Remember I said that my mama, they said when she made that contract, it was time to go. It might have been a couple of years, maybe about 2 or 3 years. And Linda's mother made the contract and it was time to go. Do you know that this entity, now if she is the goddess Melanin, now listen to what I'm saying, this is profound. If she is the goddess of melanin, and she is in your constitution, your central nervous system, she's in the makeup of who you are, and she is also foremost in the house of books. She is the Cosmic Records. Do you know that your melanin determines when you're going to die? Even when you leave here by accident and murder, that is your spirit realm giving you the accident. They say, well, he'll live to 80. He's like a Methuselah Negro, but we want him to die at 25. So send that nigga out there with that gun to blow his head off. And your force field determines, based on the melanin that you got, on when you're going to die. You ever hear people that go to a woman say, I was a vegetarian and I wrote 3 books on how not to get cancer and I got cancer. It was already determined. You remember one thing about Idi Amin? He said, I saw when I was going to die, which was 2003, and you can't kill me. So he knew every time he evaded death because he knew it wasn't his time to go. And they didn't start talking. They was quiet. They was scared of that nigga so much. They was quiet until they didn't even make his movie until 2 years after he died. 3 years after he died. Then they said, we can quietly make that Negro's movie. Because that was some force right there. Riding people's backs and stuff. Of course, that's what Sarnetta does on 20. Riding white people's backs and foolishness. You see these pictures that he riding white folks' backs and stuff like that on 125th Street.
Don't blow that up.
But hey,
Don't do that.
obviously the ancestors got him doing it because he got all the ancestors right behind him. If they didn't approve of it, then they would tell him.
That's right.
What I'm trying to tell you here is his brother gonna be blessed for a long time because he got some forces that people abandoned behind him when he showed all them hung figures. He got them forces, and he's blessed because of it too. Because if you got a Simon Wiesenthal Center where they show all these Holocaust stuff, which was contrived, what you think about the real Holocaust? You see what I'm saying? They said they got 12,000 of the people that they said they got 12,000 lynched people. They got 6,000 recorded and 6,000 that they can't find the bodies. 12,000 people lynched. You see what I'm saying? So, because he's raising that up, that's why he hooked up. You see what I'm saying? Now, so she records when you're going to die. So she is a form of melanin. So in your melanin determines when you're going to die. And it puts you in certain situations either to live or to die. So, when a person gets in their age where they have gone past the physical aspect of somebody killing them, they expire, you see what I'm saying, based on that contract runs out. That's Shet writes down, she wrote that down when it came into, when you come here, she comes up and writes it, well, you're going to die at 65, you're going to die at 75, you're going to die at 10. And I remember the sister in Philadelphia, she had a son, she had 4 daughters, she had about 4 daughters, 1, 2, 3, 4, she had 5 daughters, and in 87, a son came and stayed there for a week and left. And so she couldn't understand. When she got into the spirit realm later on and she could contact him, he came through. She said, why'd you leave so early? He said, that was the time I allowed myself to come to the earth. I was just visiting for a week. And after my time was up, I got the hell on. So no, you don't get it. There is no such thing as space and time. My time was a week. Somebody else's time might have been, but it don't determine. Not even died. They got a black man in the Bronx. He's 115 years old. He's like 118 now. And his diet consists of light bread fried in fatback. And a gallon of Thunderbird wine a day. That's his diet. Light bread fried in fatback and a gallon of Thunderbird wine a day. And he's 115. And yet they don't have no 100-year-old vegetarians. Now this is true. Back in 1902, in 2002, they had a calculation. They don't have no 100-year-old vegetarians. It determines. Now I'm not saying that you don't need to watch your diet, because you might suffer down here by not doing it. But it don't determine that based on you living. It's in the melanin when you gonna live. I just want to put that out there. Y'all all right? That's some profound stuff when I want to tap into that. Okay, let's go on. All right. So this is Nephilim. Y'all need to get a hold of him because his force is here now. He was a part of that heat wave too that came about. And the heat wave that killed all them joggers 2 weeks ago in Chicago. Many of these fools are jogging out there and falling out. They said, why? They said, we ain't used to this kind of heat at this particular time. It's a record breaker. Chicago? In October? And niggas is falling out? Come on, man. It's the end of the world. But they say you looking for miraculous, and it could just be the weather. Yeah. So this is a black ANUBIS. This is one I also got for sale. Real powerful one. Because I always take the black ones. This is a real black one and stuff. Real powerful, powerful energy. Now, this is interesting. this particular entity is why he is back at this particular time. Is not to embalm you when you die. He's embalming you for the next world. So what do you mean by that, man? Well, Anubis is also a form of melanin. There's a female Anubis called Anput. He's also a form of melanin, Anubis, or Anput, or Anush. In plural, Anubis is called Anunnaki. Anunnaki, Anubis. It comes from the original origin of Anunnaki is Anubis. Anu. Because Anubis is Anpu, Anush, Anu, Anunnaki. Plural Anubises. You remember in that movie, the Mummy 2? They had them Anubis warriors? That was an army of melanin. Remember, did a thing called Melanin Wars? I did one called Melanin Wars. It's literally a warfare of melanin. Remember in that, melanin is a sand-like substance. And when you break it down to its particles, it's God particle. When you break it down to its God particle, melanin is a sand-like substance. Its God particle is the cube. Anybody saw Transformers?
Yeah.
This summer you better recognize it. Come out tomorrow. When it come out? Tuesday. The cube, when you break it down, that's melanin. The God particle. You see. Now, Anpu or Anush is in this scene is a futuristic scene where your melanin is embalming itself for the next world. So what's happening with you is inside of your central nervous system, you are going through an embalmatic or a transformation of a divine embalming to your cells going to the next level. That's what happened artificially with Barry Bonds. It's going to happen with you, but you got to quit being all damn political and worrying about these old sick, no good Negroes off. I've written Negroes off. Know what I'm saying? You got to write these black folks. There got to be some priests up in here to say, no, we trying to get these idiots out of this thing. And we got to stay focused and don't get up into Gina, Texas, and 100,000 black people is going to get beat over the head by the cops. Something that's happening every day, and you funky about it now because a white boy in them did it, or some other people. You got to, and they already know, to stop this embalming here is to give them the trauma, to distract you.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear nothing about a nigga that done got in some damn trouble. Tell him to lay his burdens down or bear his cross. Get him a butt plug or whatever, so when he go to the prison, or join the Aryan Nation or the Crips or the Bloods, or somebody to protect you, but get out my face. I'm through with you. Shoot, I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear it. Because it's distraction. Yep. We are the gods. You see what I'm saying? This ain't no civil rights movement. You see. Now, so he's embalming. So inside of you there's a process. It's called a purification mysteries. Which means I could run down the street and don't break a sweat, but go to sleep and wake up drenched in the whole sheet, soaked to the doggone. If we didn't have if we didn't have a waterproof mattress on top of our brand new beauty rest, king size, we'd be in trouble. Cause that shit cost. But I wake up every night all this summer drenched. That was purification. It ain't purification based on what I ate. What it is your cells replicate themselves. But what happened is when you have a toxic build up to a certain level, that's when you die. That's when it's tapping into that melanin, the toxins. So it's not talking about the diet, immediate diet, it's talking about the toxins based on being down in this physical earth. Even bad thought. You see what I'm saying? It's toxins. So what they was doing, they was purifying me. So every night I would sweat, I had to sleep on 2 towels. And we had to wash the sheet every 2 days. And the sheets and all that. And luckily we had that waterproof bed thing, mattress you put on there Otherwise, our brand new beauty rest would have been messed up. But I was so, I could run down the street and don't sweat, but go to sleep and sweat like a dog. That's the purification mysteries that's going on. You see what I'm saying? Because y'all, let me tell you something. We drink a 24 case of water every 2 days. So I'm telling you, your problem is you don't get enough water. We drink 24 cases of water, 24 case of water, bottles of water every 2 days. So that means, and for you to get on, melanin and water go together. It's the key to it. You see what I'm saying? Melanin is nothing but detached. It is detached from its liquefied form, which is water. They go together. That's what makes the oil, the anointed oil. And the problem is, if they can keep you dehydrated, so that whole thing where you got a bottle of water, no. You got to, look, remember I told you back in 95, I drank 3 gallons of water a day for 5 days. And the third day I time traveled. Went back to 78, went to 80. I could go to all the ones that I could have in my memory. I even went back to the 50s, and I was born in 61. I went back to my mama's melanin. See what I'm saying? Our time travel is possible, but it's in the inner world. You can do that through water. And after I did that for 2 years, when I could take, I said I want to get high. And I would take a tall glass of water and drink it down and get drunk like I had a Colt 45 or Old English 800. Know this. That's how drunk I used to get. You see what I'm saying? Off of water. So I know if you're not, man, I'm telling you, I consume at least 5 bottles of water an hour. That's excessive, but you at least can do 2. You don't get enough water, so you stuck. It flows. You see what I'm saying? That's the key. I'm letting you know what it is now. You can have all the stuff you can take and stuff. Water is the key, is the most advanced thing on this planet. The first thing happened when Tiamat, the great mother, was overthrown. What happened? The Marduk of the gods, if you call it, in one thing, it's the Titans was overthrown by Zeus. And so in Babylonia, Babylon, Marduk overthrows Tiamat, the great mother. And the first thing they do with all that water, they split her open, and her husband, Kingu, they make the earth. And her, they make the oceans. But the first thing they do to make sure that the people don't get an abundance of water, when they tell you this ancient story, is they put salt in the ocean, which causes a cosmic thirst. And the cosmic thirst is what holds the gods down. The Titans are held down because sometimes the lightning struck them and it caused a cosmic thirst. Their melanin was separated from the water. The earth was separated from the sea. Because the earth is Kingu. That's where you get the word king from. King is one who has Sama. Sama is melanin. Not only does one need Sama to be a king, but Sama itself is the king. You see what I'm saying? Melanin. But it's separated from the water because it got salt in it. So your problem is you dehydrated. And I'm trying to tell you, you can't get enough water. You should have water like a gun holster or a feed bag with a pipe stuck in there, sucking it all day long. Y'all all right? All right, let's go on. To show you how powerful this is, this is an ancient fragment that came out of Hemmitt. It's an ancient piece of papyrus that came out of Egypt. And it was one of the few paintings in the late Egypt. It was so powerful to the Golden Dawn Society used this thing to contact a god named Ku. That used to be an Egyptian priest that lived thousands of years ago. They contacted this guy, this thing, from this particular raggedy piece of papyrus with that Anubis on it, and they got this ape-looking thing called the ape of Thoth, which is also the god Hanuman that I talked about later on in India. And they were so powerful, they was actually to get into some forces and contact some forces. So the black one that I got, that I'm selling, is very powerful. If they could do that with this raggedy piece of thing right here. Just amazing what's going on. Now, look at this. When they opened up King Tut's tomb, they found 2 of these gods. You know what these guards are called? First of all, they got on the Masonic apron. That's where it came from. The origin of the Masonic apron. You know what these guards, and it's gold. Now, you got to understand, the gold is in the blood. If you go back to the Greek mythology, which is Phoenician, so whenever you throw that out, that's why you don't learn, because you're throwing out a part of your history. Plus, you know that the Greeks back then were all black people. Now, one of my first queens, when she got on, first queens in consciousness, when she went to the Indian, Native American rounds, she came back and she was channeling real heavy. I was asking the spirits all kinds of stuff, and I asked her, why did you let the white people in the mystery system? And the spirit world said, ain't no white person never went to no mystery system. Trying to say, I'm trying to get you nigger to think for a minute. Then if the white men didn't go, that means the Greeks you talk about that went were black. And I was able to meet one of these Greeks in 2003, the original ones that inhabited that land, before they started importing white folks and sequestering the black ones. And they were Sarnetta's color. They were Sarnetta's color. Now we know this because we know that when they did a conference and they was with the Martin Bernal thing back in Black Athena days, and they did this conference, and Charles Fitch came to the conference and shocked them white people and told them, do you know that 85% of Greece, it has a heavy sickle cell rate? That's black people.
Yep.
Well, I seen it for myself in 2003 when that brother, I said, how long you been in Greece? He said, I was there before the white folks got there. He was Sarnetta's color. You hear me? So, going back, this thing here with the gold, if you read the Greek mythology, they talk about the first race of men that was created was a golden race of men. And they were godlike, but they died off. Because how did they say, we don't know how they died off. How they died off is they slipped further and further into the physical realm and got more encased into the physical elements of the earth, of the physical body. And that golden god first race shut down. You understand where I'm coming from? Now, then they talk about the bronze and the silver or whatever. So in our blood, the reason why you are conscious, because you are the leftover of the golden race. In your blood system, there's different degrees of melanin. You got the gold in you, and that's why you up here talking about, man, I wonder why things are the way they are, and asking all these questions. Because you are the original link from that. So the gold and the black, well, it speaks for itself. That's melanin. Triple blackness of space. Oh, yeah. The golden race is the one that traveled to America. They say, out of Africa I will call my son. You see what I'm saying? They traveled to the diaspora, so you would say the whole Caribbean, parts of that. But, you know, they really broke it up in America. But the golden race went out of Africa. You understand what I'm saying? You see. And so, you know, hey, everything is the way it's supposed to be. You see. Now, I'm going to tell you something. There's a guy named Metahochi. Metahochi, y'all got to understand, Metahochi died in June. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Metahochi. You know the Yoruba that you practice today? You don't know that the reason why we got Yoruba in the United States was because of one man named Metahochi. Because he went in the 1950s and started initiating long before this thing became popular. Because the Africans said that we will never give this to the African Americans and they're going to mess it up. But so he had to go in and initiate and gain the trust. Do you know that African village down in South Carolina, that Yoruba thing? It is the origin of that goes all the way back to Metahochi. Metahochi died in June. He is the premier person who basically is responsible for the Yoruba religion in its African form coming to the United States. Because he went in the 50s and got down with this thing long before it became popular. And he lived to 94 years old, and when he died, the brother Panic was allowed to go to his funeral in the spirit realm. In the spirit realm. And he said he went, and he said, do you know, there was drummers. He said it was drummers for like maybe 10, 20 miles long. As long as the eye can see, these drummers. As long as the earth was, they had drummers drumming. Do you know what Metahochi said? When he spent his life dealing with Africa. And he's determined, like John Henry Clark was. He said, if it's going to happen, it's got to happen from the new African or the new person. The ones over here in the Western Hemisphere. He was determined with that, and he spent his life. So don't tell this guy, he spent his life in the spirit realm. And he said, whatever going down, it's got to go down with us. But guess what? Well, the proof is in the pudding. The tree bears, the fruit is based on the fruit it bears. We are the ones that's going through this. Believe that. Okay? So, he said this, I ain't arguing, and that's what's happening. We are the fountainhead. Don't necessarily say everybody else left out, but it's got to be the fountainhead. It's got to be the head of the snake. So this particular energy here, do you know this is called, you know what this is called? This is called the guard of the King Tut's tomb. It's called the Ka guard. The Ka, which is the shadow, which is melanin. This is a representation of what your melanin is. He got a big old mace. See what I'm saying? Ready to club somebody in the head. But they don't club from the physical, they club from the spiritual. That's about like I said, I told them people to get on it, and they got them Beverly Hillbilly niggas down there. Them niggas had a cookout. Lord have mercy. Man, shoot. They had some blues I ain't never heard of. They had some banjo blues. I'm talking about some of that old Delta blues from the Mississippi. Now, so, for the people who don't know what I'm talking about, you got to get the person to tape about that. But this is called the Ka. This is symbolic of what your melanin is, and it's a warrior with the Masonic apron, which means knowledge. You see what I'm saying? And the Uraeus crown, which is the Kundalini. You see, the Nagars. This would be a representation of the ultimate Nagar. Nigger. That's why they want you to stop saying nigger, because of the Nagar thing. It enacts and it activates the Kundalini. Very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. All right. Me and the brother Panic doing these magical operations. So we had to go through the Egyptian netters, and up under the Egyptian netters was the Yoruba. And we had to go through these different pantheons, and we kept burrowing our way down. Each one we go through, we set up another, we're doing all these magical operations. And so we burrowed our way down to the primal realm. And the only thing that was left that can explain the primal realm was, number one, was Elijah Muhammad talking about that 66 trillion years old stuff. And then they got the Cthulhu thing that H.P. Lovecraft saw in the series of dreams, that wrote as the weird tales, or you know them as, most of the horror movies are based on the Cthulhu mythos. When we got down past the realm where there was no more human, that's what we had to deal with. I've been talking about this stuff for years. We went to several layers. That's when we went to the layers, and they was like, you can't come in this Bobby Hemmitt no more. You got to dump all this. You can't even think. Just don't think, just be. No rationalization, or perish with the dogs of reason. No reason, because we had to encounter this kind of stuff. Cthulhu and the Dagon, which is the fish deity. We had to encounter this stuff. And each one of these, so didn't they have a certain hurricanes, a few hurricanes? Every time his tentacles would rise up, a hurricane would come. And a few other ones. And different natural disasters. They even put this in the movie, the third installment of Pirates of the Caribbean. Anybody saw Pirates of the Caribbean, the last one? Yep. Was that the awesome display of the goddess you could ever see? If you hadn't seen that, you missed it. But it'll be on DVD, you best believe, before Christmas. Land's End, where they had the goddess, Yeminya, raised up. And they raised up this black woman, and all the pirates, which was the Moors in the real life, bowed down to the great goddess of the sea. And her name was Calypso in the movie, but she also played, Calypso was also played in the movie The Odyssey by Vanessa Williams back in 1997. Now, so this is the Cthulhu thing. That's what we're dealing with now. So in so many words, whatever you tapping into, human is only based on the road to get to it. Then, when you tap into it, it can't be no reason. So one time when I woke up, I said last year, a year before last, I woke up and didn't have no orange juice, didn't have no vitamin C, didn't have no echinacea gold seal, and was coming down with something. Then I said, I'm going to take this peach soda that I got up in his peach can soda, and it's going to give me all the nourishment I need. And I drank that thing, and it cured me to death. Why? Because it's in your mind. Curing is only in your mind. And I only use that as a template to go through. You see what I'm saying? To go through. You see. That's what it was about. You see. So, moving right along. I think that's it. Come on. No, it's not. Okay, so over here. Okay. Well, this is I'm calling the Kunsu, which I want to, this is the god of the moon, I'm calling the Kunsu, which is staring back at itself. Yeah, oh yeah, which is staring back at itself, which is also the god of the moon. And they translated this thing. Crawley translated this, found this in Egypt in 1904 and translated the Book of the Law from the ritual he did from this. They went back and translated it again in 1969. And after 1969, they said, we got a fate going to the moon. So the moon is everything. The moon is called, Jesus in the in the book of Dictionary of Ancient Myths and Secrets Jesus is called a healing moon man. So moon is a nighttime entity. Moon is a nighttime activity. The moon is talking about melanin. Melanin and the moon, when you see the moon, they are actually talking about melanin also. Melanin is called lunar fluid, called colors. Colors. That's in cedar alchemy coming out of India. Colors. And it's called lunar fluids. That's melanin. And the moon. And there's a god called Kunsu. I'll show him in a few minutes. He's standing up on this table. He looks like Ptah, but he's actually Kunsu. He's a form of Ptah, but he's actually Kunsu. Kunsu. Now, going right along. This is Josephine Baker. She is also called the Creole Queen, because there's a Creole aspect, because she was from St. Louis, but that whole Creole thing is a whole other thing we got to tap into. There's an Egyptian thing connected with the Creole. You see what I'm saying? I'll tell you what about that. But look how she's standing. Now look at a statue 1,000 years earlier. Look at that. And look at that. Everything is everything. You see. Now when I went to the psychic hotline, I want to call it the other world, they said, well, she has some masculine energy in her too. She would have to be the first to do something in a land with all those white folks. But she had to do it when she had to do it. She was born in, her time was the 1920s, and she couldn't do it in America, so she had to do it in France. But she was the Creole returning to France, because the Creoles is made up of French and African. But the Creoles was made up of the French, which is also the Cathars, which is an ancient Egyptian crew that traveled up into France, and also the Egyptian Carthage, because one of the words for Carthage, one of the Carthaginians that actually founded Carthage was called the Moor. So Corsica is these black skinned people. You see what I'm saying? And so the Cathars, which was an ancient Egyptian Gnostic crew, traveled up into France. That's where you get the word cathedrals from. And the Cathars is also a group that settled in, before the Louisiana Purchase, settled into Louisiana and hooked up with some slaves and some Native Americans and produced the Creole. And the Creole traveled all the way around, even up in Oklahoma where my grandfather is from, which is the Egyptian name preserved as Hemmitt, found at the Temple of Dendera, H-E-M-M-I-T, which means a group of people that will live in the last days. A group of pre-existent souls that will live in the last days and teach. Now, ain't that a bitch? That's right in the hieroglyphic dictionaries, Burgess. There's a whole chapter in Gerald Mash's book, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, Hemmitt. But it comes from Oklahoma, which they found a stela of Akhenaten in Oklahoma 50 years before they even knew who Akhenaten was when they dug it up in Egypt. That's in Richard Noon's book. That's the Masonic history. Ice, the Ultimate Disaster, 5/5/2000. But in there, they talk about, they even got a group of Egyptians in Maine, Kenite in Maine, that speak hieroglyphic. So some of the Kenite stuff came to this country through the Creole, with the mixing of the slave and the French white boy that had Cather blood. You see, that's how things come to be. And yeah. They did a whole thing on the King River Creoles on PBS. And the brother Panic's family is from those people. But here's the Patah aspect of that. You see, Patah aspect of that. Some amazing stuff. So you contact me, you can contact me at 1766 Rogers Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30310. You notice how they put my phone number. A curious thing happened when I put my phone number one time. Niggas would call up at 4 and 5 in the morning wanting a damn lecture. Nigga call, you know, because he got to get up at 4 o'clock. Or he on his job and they got a telephone on his job because he's working nights. I'll call Bobby and he'll get, hey man, what's up? Motherfucker, I'm sleeping. That's what the hell. But I want to ask you a question. So black, we are that sick. You know how that Michael Jackson and the people that got to hire like movie stars? Well, I'm trying to tell you, I was just a lecturer. I'll tell you, I had to change my phone number. So there's my address. I'm going to cut on the lights right quick so we can, what time we got? Okay, good. Now, this is the God Khonsu. This is the God Khonsu, also called Khons. He's a moon god. This is also a part of you. As well as, you know when Mercury goes into retrograde and you so scared of your Mercury in retrograde. Don't you know that melanin in India and in alchemy coming out of Egypt is called Mercurus? So when Mercury is in retrograde, that's also melanin. So also what it means is, yeah, on the physical level, a lot of contracts get broken, a lot of stuff, but also you can soar when Mercury is in retrograde. Because that's a part of your power. Because that's melanin. So, but it's also connected to the moon. It's also connected to the moon. So, here goes again, full moon rituals and things like that is very key. You see, when we dealing with things. Y'all all right? All right, let me go into some other stuff right here. All right, check this out. Boy, it's some beautiful things happening. Look at this. You know the guy from Iran, Ahmadinejad, came up here to Columbia University. First of all, a lot of them are not allowed to come in the country, but to go to international soil, that UN thing over there. So he wanted to go to 9/11, wanted to go to ground zero, but they stopped him. He's damn. Couldn't get the ritual off like that. He said, that's all right. So he went to Columbia University, right? So the man invited him. The president came up, called him a dictator. You know, they said, how you going to invite the man here and then go jump on him? Then all the students jumped on him and they whipped his behind. They beat his behind, and yeah, they beat him up. He went running. All these students and the president, they whipped his behind until the next day. And these fools reviewed the tape. And he politely, after the president called him a dictator, and he went into prayer. You know what he prayed? He prayed for the Mahdi to destroy the United States of America. And the next day they said, I can't believe you stupid people didn't translate this thing and understand what they know what no Mahdi is. The Mahdi is the Messiah. That's Heru. Immediately the brother panicked like, hey, they're calling on us. Remember in Afghanistan they called on these gods, they was praying about they were celebrating these gods. He said, he called on, he said, Allah, so-and-so, so-and-so, and he said, the Mahdi destroyed the United States. They were so upset because he got in and got out. Said something at the UN too. Then, to make right on it, see, in all of the, you just can't say to the universe or to the spirit realm, Mahdi destroyed the United States. You got to give a reason why. So then he went back to the Congress in Iran and declared America, the United States Army, and the CIA a terrorist organization and a terrorist state. But guess what? That's bad business because guess what? Technically, America is the terrorist state. They blew up their building. They invaded Iraq for no reason. They invaded Afghanistan for no reason because they blew up their building. You see what I'm saying? They are the terrorist state. You see, they got you on lockdown and they're beating black people over the head for the struggle continues, but you've been in terrorism for 400 years. So they are the terrorist state. Okay, so you say, what's going to become of that? Well, it did something because we learned about the Mahdi through the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad. So the first thing they did is ran back and said, hell, he's talking about some guy that lived 1,000 years ago. Why are they going to invoke some dead figure? No, there was a guy that lived 1,000 years ago that they call a Mahdi, just like they got people that live now they call a Messiah, that's false messiahs. And because he's a false Messiah a 1,000 years ago, don't necessarily mean that the Mahdi is not a concept that is real. The Mahdi is talking about the Messianic force. And that's talking about us. That's the Kundalini. That's the pineal gland. That's the Christ in you. That's us in this room. So they didn't understand that the Mahdi is a religious term that's talking about the Messianic force. And all he did was came in and called on the Messianic force. Then Elijah Muhammad shows up. Get a call. Sister say, you need to get in touch with Elijah Muhammad. This is the sister that will be, I'll be 46 in November 28th. She'll be 76 in November 28th. You know, and if there's any, it's amazing. You see that lion with them two knives? The lion with them two knives? If there's anybody that's like that lion with them two knives, it was that 76-year-old woman. She scares me. She was good friends with Malcolm X. And she came and knocked on Muhammad Ali's door. And came in and she knocked on his door. He looked at it and said, oh man. Broke off $2,000-$3,000. Powerful sister. So she called and said, get in touch with Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad came through and said, you were one of my favorites and so and so. And so then the next day another brother called me up talking about the messenger and said, you still dealing with the messenger? You never really put him down. And then another brother, and I said, wait a minute, hold on, what is this going on? What is the messenger trying to say? And I said, oh, Ahmadinejad prayed for the fall of America. You wrote a book, Fall of America. Right. He said, and then he came back and said, no, I want your people to get a hold to the book and read the Fall of America. It's now valid based on what time cycle it is because the man came from the east and called on it. That's all his role was, to get beat up over the head and call for the fall of America for the Mahdi. So you got to get that book. And then, you know, the book was in print for damn near 15 years. And about a year ago, you can't find none. But they say you can get them at some place over here on one of these marsh streets. Go get you some Falls of America. Because it's right in exact now. That's very key. That you get the fall of America. Huh? Yeah, that's right. So what we're going to do is right now, we're going to go we're going to go into a question and answer right now. Oh, can you put this back on PowerPoint? It's shut down.
It's on. It's still on.
There's a whole section we missed. The stuff about the Black Power fist and all that.
Oh, right.
We got to put that. I knew it was something. I said, we missed some pictures. I don't know. You know that technology. You know how it is. Yeah, I'm a manual man myself. Yeah, you know. Yeah, I knew it's some kind of glitch in it. Yeah. Yeah. Now you mess around. See, a lot of people died off that old nasty behind soul food, all that old combination. You know what I'm saying? It was good when it was going down and stuff, but you got to change up. So let's say you eat that same candy sweet potatoes, collard greens, you know, mashed potato salad and fried chicken. You get sick off that garbage. If you're going to eat some fried chicken, you need to eat that stuff with something of another culture. You see what I'm saying? But don't eat it in that soul food thing, because a lot of people die and they hover over that stuff. Those spirits hover over that. You see what I'm saying? Plus, the gods rest inside of your taste buds. You see what I'm saying? So every now and then you got to change up all cultures of food. Anytime you eat something the same every day, those entities die and they can't help you. That's why even if you're vegetarian and you eat the same old stuff, those entities die. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes, look, you get sick and the spirit will tell you, I want a Hershey's Mr. Goodbar. You need to go get you a Hershey's Mr. Goodbar. So there's a whole other realm. And you have to work with them so that they can heal. This is metaphysical. You say, they might not want no wheat gluten. You see what I'm saying? That's right. You see, but you got to change stuff. You got to change stuff up. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So eat some Creole, eat some Chinese, eat some Japanese, eat some East Indian. You got to change these things up so your taste buds. You see what I'm saying? They go into other dimensions. These are entities. You feed it the same slop every day. You know what I'm saying? You know, black people, that's just like an animal. You know, here it is, you 50 years plus and 60 years plus, and you still eating the same old slop you ate in the 1960s. So what happened is your soul dies because the melanin is chaos. It never stops changing. That's why you create music and leave it alone, and white folks take your music and everybody else doing your music. You see what I'm saying? That's because the stuff dies. I'm not talking from a physiological. Look, when they told me, look, you can't use your intellect on this realm. That's for humans. It's something that you can't reason with. So a lot of times if it makes common sense, it sounds logical, it makes common sense, it's reasonable, it's rational, you have to abandon it because this is a spirit that's beyond reason. So every now and then it might say, hey, look, I want some Cracker Jacks. But it might be an entity that was around when you was enjoying Cracker Jacks when you was a child, and they want to tap into that. And you might have to go get some Cracker Jacks. You know what I'm saying? That's the spirit world. They say as a child, innocence. When you get rid of that innocence, you know what I'm saying? That's when you die. You see what I'm saying? So they might say, I want some cake and some ice cream. You know what I'm saying? And you got to go do that. Oh, you Mr. Ego Man. I'm going to give you some seaweed. Where's the fuck you now? You don't want to get healed. Because you're using this brain. You're using this brain. You see what I'm saying? And they got a man in the Bronx eating fatback and light bread and a gallon of Thunderbird wine. And he's 115. So, look, this is what happens. This is how the spirit world happens. Let's say you get into a funk about something. And in order to get out that funk, you got to change what you was eating when you got in that funk. So whatever it is that you was eating would be healthy or dangerous. You got to change it to get up out of that funk. You know what I'm saying? So go eat some Ethiopian. You see, go get some cotton candy. You see what I'm saying? They got a Jimi Hendrix now. These white folks worship him like that. They got a Purple Haze beer.
Oh, come on.
I went and bought some of that the other day and put on some Jimmy. He got a song called The Earth Cries Mary. And drank that Purple Haze beer and went to another level. But I know the spirit world. I know the spirit world. You see what I'm saying? And went to another level. Right up in the crib with that Purple Haze beer. See what I'm saying? So, you know, I was drinking the spirits, and then when I mastered 72 Egyptian deities and this kingdom, they said, now we want some brew. That's our stuff. We can create a beer. So I had to take the beer and mix it with the liquor. And then I started going to another level again. Traveling. See what I'm saying? That kind of thing. So I'm just trying to say, you're going to have to become like a little child. A little baby. If the food fall on the floor, pick it up and look like this to see if anybody and then eat it. That's what you do anyway when nobody around. You ever had something real good and it fell on the floor and you go, no, you know I'm not going to let this go. This is not going. This is going to one place. Bottoms up. See what I'm saying? You got to do stuff like, you got to mix stuff up. What you're going to have to do to become God's spirit, it's not technical. It's like a baby. You're going to have to become like a baby. Just walk around naked sometime. Can't do that when you got children. You know, defects will come or whatever they call it up here. You know, child services or whatever. But I'm just saying, you know, do some things that's fun. You gotta do some stuff out of the ordinary. You know what I'm saying? Go to fart school. I don't know. Just fart. Now, these entities, we want to activate them. You get you some Florida water and spray on them. Whenever you get your, you might have one statue. You only need one. Spray it clean it every day with the Florida water and clean up the dust around it. Like the other day, Linda walked through and her robe broke the head off a Sebek statue, and I like to hit the wall. She got mad, and then she got in a funk, and then I unleashed this beast in her, and I said, oh Lord, and the candles start burning black. I said, why did I unleash this monster? I'm in hell, and I'm going to release a monster from the pits of hell to come to devour me. So we figured it out, and what it was is the spirit was like, you all ain't dust around us for, you got all these statues, you ain't dust and clean up around us for a month. So you need to get back there and clean up all them cobwebs and stuff. You see, anybody got spiders coming up in your house? All up in your side thing? Leave them alone. That's the great mother. They are there for a reason. Those spiders. And then we get them big ones. They got these big ones. And then when Linda's mother died, a big one came right in the middle of the house. In the living, right facing her altar. Because you know you got to put up an altar when these people pass. And I said, oh Lord, look at this thing here. And her mother was like, don't leave it alone. That's for me. The great spider. That's the great mother. So leave them spiders alone. Why? Because the spiders is the one that help clean up half the shit around your house, the bugs and stuff. They say, but when you see them, you discard them and don't even know they came to help you. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about the ones that be over there not bothered. I'm not talking about no tarantula or no black widow on your bed. I ain't talking about nothing on your bed, a little black widow spider. I'm talking about one that's over there by itself in the corner, sucking up bugs and stuff, and ain't messing with you. Don't kill them. That's a part of the spirit realm. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you come on your bed, that's your territory. One day one of the spiders got on my bed and I said, I wish you wouldn't have done that. I wish you wouldn't have done that. Now you got to go. You done violated. Give me some questions right quick.
Florida water, where you get this?
You get the Florida water from any place that got a Mexican name on it. A botanical. Any of them Hispanic people, get you some Florida water and spray down them statues and clean them off. Rose water is good too. What's that, brother? Yeah.
Yeah, do you believe that Jesus Christ has existed? Jesus Christ is Horus. And it didn't exist. See, they messed up, the Romans messed up the whole thing. The ancient world all was in agreement that this person that was supposed to come in the future, and it was supposed to come in you. You see what I'm saying? So the historical one was sublime mythology turned historical. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't a historical figure in that particular aspect. You can take, there's a good book called The Laughing Jesus, one of the new ones in the pantheon of great books. Timothy freaking Peter Gandy. And they showed how they took 200 years to make it into a historical person. But there's several books that deal with this thing and stuff like that. So you're just going to have to get with the great books and stuff like that to try to understand. Ain't no man that died 2,000 years ago in some sandals that's white coming back to rescue you. He said himself, just as I have done great works, ye shall do great works ye shall do. It's inside of you. And before it was that the brother back here first had his hand up. Somebody had their hand up back there first, yeah.
Bobby, you some of the significance of they erected an ANUBIS in Britain, and then they sailed it down the Thames River. Yeah, the river Thames, like I think it was October 1st.
Okay, let me tell you something. I do know this. I do know this. They have, especially in Britain, because they're more advanced than America, because they've been in it longer. They do have soothsayers, yeah, and they do have people that tap into the frequencies over here and they find out what we're doing. So the ANUBIS thing came heavy in July and August. We did a whole lot of rituals to it. So therefore, they would tap into that and do the equivalent
with their rituals to either counter it, which they can't do, or either join it. Now let me give you an example. The goddess Hemmitt, Big Mother came, and if you notice the real dark skin picture she had on turquoise. So we did our whole house in turquoise, the bathroom in turquoise. We put up our whole shrine in the bathroom. So when Queen Elizabeth came to visit Virginia, they all wore pink and black and thinking that she broke out in turquoise. So what it was is she got with her psychics and they said, well, this is what's going on in the black community. Because one sister called me from Charlotte. She said, I don't know, but the great day is here. She said, I said, what is? She said, all I see is turquoise. I said, well, Lord, we just did our whole house in turquoise, the bathroom and all that to Yemonja. So when Queen Elizabeth came, she broke in with her Yemonja stuff on, channeling our stuff. So the newest thing that went down in Europe about a couple of weeks ago, that was because of the stuff that we was getting down over here. Getting down on, what's that, brother? Yeah.
I had one of your tapes, you said that the Yoruba gods don't really like you.
No. What happened was there was a family fight. We cleared that up. You know how that Underworld movie where they had the werewolves fight with the vampires? Well, one class of gods was fighting with another class of gods. And what I did was I took the Yoruba and the Palo, and you know in the movie Ghostbusters when they say don't mix the stream, well I mixed the stream of two opposing forces, and I got an answer from the Yoruba saying nigga we'll kill you, and the Palo's like we got your back. So we say it's on. So there's a little warfare going on for a couple of years with me and them, and we was lining up, but that's just a family fight. But there's been a big truce now. And there's all, because as a matter of fact, Ogun and Oshun had a big marriage in September. Real powerful energy going on. Legba, do you know Legba went to a whole nother level when Mike Vick was doing that apology when he pled guilty. Obatala transformed into a whole nother level. So these gods are going to a whole nother level now. So right now you can deal with all of them because they're all in unison. We're the only ones that's missing out. What's that, sister?
Yes, Bobby, I wanted to know what is the significance of the discovery of Hatshepsut's tomb?
It's amazing. I was looking at a book with Hatshepsut the same day that they came on the news and discovered it. And I asked her, because we can tap into these entities. They're talking about the woman that can see dead people. That's mundane dead people. But we talk about, we got the ability to tap into these major spirits. And she came through and said, this is a major significance of my find. So that was like, just like you have the Aurora Borealis, or you have the Hale-Bopp Comet, you have these things that you determine in history as a spiritual events. Halley's Comet, the finding of that particular female pharaoh was equivalent to the Hale-Bopp Comet, or a spiritual event that you wait for years. That was equivalent of that in the astronomical point of things. So it's a real awesome power. Yeah. What's that, sister?
I'm a priestess of Oya.
Yeah.
In the Yoruba tradition, and during my meditation, I need to find the Kemetic counterpart for her. Would that be Sekhmet? Or
It would be Sekhmet.
It would be Sekhmet.
Most definitely. We got that about 12, 13 years ago. It was Sekhmet. Oh, y'all came up and told me, nigga, I'll kill you. It was some funny shit. You tried to kill a nigga, I'll kill you behind. And one sister came to the house, same one that put the gun in her mouth. She said, all y'all in the other room saying she want to kill you behind. But it was all cool. It was a family fight. But she's Sekhmet. And we do those things, yeah. Okay. Well, just give me 2 more questions and we'll close out. I want to do that. What's that, brother?
November 15th, they're supposed to be opening or unveiling the base sun.
Uh-huh.
And apparently, they're going to move towards saying he's white.
Yeah, well, you know how white folks are.
So is there anything being done, lecture-wise, to counteract that?
Yeah, Malefi Asante did a whole thing in Philadelphia. You need to get a hold of that tape because, it's in Philly.
No, I'm saying this is going to be in London.
Okay, well, the one that was in Philly, they did that now. But I mean, Malefi Asante do it, but I'm just trying to say it's so mundane now until it's not even worth the effort to even try to even. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people, anybody that's got common sense to see in the middle of Africa that would be black people, and they have his bust. He was one of the few pharaohs where they got his bust as a little black boy with nappy hair. You can only get them peas and knots and BB shots from one race, and he got some peas and knots and BB shots on his head. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, we need to quit burning up energy on mundane stuff about trying to let white people see the right thing. They are liars. Do you understand? A person that is a race of liars, that is their job. You see, so I mean, why are we still trying to convince ourselves that the Egyptians are black? That's the only thing we need to understand. Who cares? History Channel come on every day. They had Hannibal White last week. Whole special on it. Yeah, that's white folks, you know. And you burn up a lot of energy trying to even worry about that. Even white folks know that King Tut wasn't white. You see what I'm saying? That's the thing about it. All white people know. So don't be alarmed. White people know. If that's your concern, white people know. White people know. So you don't have to be alarmed. So we got to teach them. They know. The only thing you got to do is convince yourself. You see what I'm saying? What's that, brother?
Can you explain Stargate? Like, is the sun Stargate?
All that old shit on anything out there is an illusion. There ain't nothing out there but just void of space. The stargates is on the inside of you. The great mystery right now, if anything that you hear in knowledge that don't pertain to your inner body and your inner self is all fake. That's only a projection of what's going on the inside of you. It's inside of all that sun and all that stuff don't even, when Mae Jameson went out there, they didn't see no sun. It was black as your fist. They didn't see nothing. You only see that sun and stars on the inside of this illusionary ether. You see, like out there ain't nothing. But so that's all bull. It's on the inside of you. That's called the petty universe, universe A, which is the holographic universe. Universe B is on the inside of you. So all these old outer stargates, that's why we ain't never seen no bug-eyed people come. You know, right now, a bug-eyed person, I'll come to save you. I'm like, look, you're getting the ass whipping first. I'm going to save myself, but you mean to tell me you done took me through this? Oh, we gonna rumble, nigga. Old alien beatdown. You need the old alien beatdown. I done suffered too long to come up to me. I'm going to save you now. See what I'm saying? After foolishness I done went through. Cutting off all my lights and shit. That's the most scariest thing in the world, the universe, me. White man, don't cut off my lights. If you ever had it done before, you know what I'm talking about. That light's getting cut off. Now, if any dehumanizing factor, that's what I don't like to face. One more question, yeah.
I wanted to clarify something you said about Farrakhan earlier.
Yeah.
I was in the Nation of Islam. I think I was there for
Yeah.
that speech. And he said that if America wanted to fight with black people, he says, we won't run from you, we will run to you because we have an army, you see, and a spiritual army that you don't see.
Right.
That was exactly what he said.
Exactly. And obviously, you remember when he said it, obviously, remember he said that the mafia, when there was a mafia, stole their van. He told them the van better be back on the street at 6 o'clock. He said, now if it's not gone 10 and it ain't back, keep the van. We coming after you. And the van was there at 5:30 or something. So they know. They know. Yeah. So that is right. It is one, but you got to understand what's going on. So never enough time, but it's always good.
All right. Let's give it up.
Give it up.
Hold on, everybody. Just sit down for 1 minute. One more minute before we leave. We got to be out of here because after every hour, they asking for an extra $50. So that's why we're trying to get ahead and speed it up a little bit. We got to think we got 4 hours in? 4 hours and change.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, through my years of speaking outside, on the street, being a street speaker, what I have learned is that most of our people still love the Caucasian, the white man. And when I'm out there speaking, believe it or not, the white folks respect it. Believe it or not, black man, I want you to turn that light off for a minute. 1 minute. I want to give me a couple of minutes before y'all break out.
I want to say this two things. When he got some pictures of white folks bowing down here,
I'm
gonna tell you
chill out.
Let me tell you what I do when I saw him. I say, man, they love this, man. Yeah. They are enjoying this.
All right, now what I want to say to you is this right here. I'm out there speaking on the street. And what they would do is come down and they would have to get down on their knees as I speak and tell them who their mother and father is. But this white boy right here,
Go back so we can get it on film.
this white boy right here was making mockery and playing games of it. So I gave him the permission to get up. And he needed to stay there to get some more information because he still want to play with it. You see what I'm saying? So now he's getting the picture that this is serious. And believe it or not, most of my critics come from those who claim consciousness. Do you hear me? Not from the brain dead brothers that you call in the street. It comes from those who claim to be conscious. I went to Brother Phil Valentine lecture last week, and I wore a shirt. I'm going to show you the shirt that I wore. As you can see, they come down and they look at it. I'm going to show you a shirt that I wore to the lecture.
Move out the way.
This is the one I had on. Now, do you know what it is to have a so-called Jew bow down with his turban on? What they call it, the small hat? And that got him by the back of the neck like a dog, right? I wore this shirt to the Phil Valentine lecture, and it was the sisters that attacked me. Think about that. Did you hear what I just said? It was the sisters who claimed to be conscious.
What's on the shirt?
Now listen.
This picture.
This picture is on the shirt. Now listen for a minute.
It's on the shirt. Not the shirt. This is on the shirt. The picture on the shirt.
Now here's the thing that I want to say. If you are a Moor, if you are a Mason, if you are a metaphysician, if you're dealing with the spirit realm, that's good. We need all of that. But God damn it, don't condemn me from dealing with the militant realm. We need that. Our brothers and sisters need to see men say, look, what it is this. You are looking at this image and you are hating on me. Not you out there, I ain't talking about you. You are looking at this image and you are hating on the man who's representing the black man. Don't look at Son Nutter. I'm representing you, black man. Do you know what it is to have this cracker right here on his knees? And the reason why he's hiding his face is because he know that ADL will kill him for bowing down to what they call a nigger. Think about that. So that's all I wanted to say, man. Stop hating on me, conscious family. I don't hate on the Moors. Do what you do. Do what you do, Brother Bobby Hemmitt. Do what you do, the metaphysical brothers out there. We need all of it. We got to put it all in the pot and mix it up. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Ain't no one thing is going to get us out of this. We starting to sound like the Christians and the Muslims and all of that stuff. Come with me. You need Jesus. Come with me. You got to be Allah. You got to get Allah. Nah, brother, we need all of it, man. We need all of this stuff. So that's all I have to say. Brother Bobby Hemmitt, we got to leave because it's going up.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay.
The dinner is ready if y'all would like to take a plate home with you.